The time has come for the lioness to tell her own story.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice. Rastafari.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Keteis Oyunde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
This is Mama Thea of Asli Pure, and when I want to hear the story from the lion and the lioness, I listen to Lion Voice with Kwasi Bonsu.
Greetings, I'm Sister Aisha Diana Conwood, currently the Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Time for the lioness to roar. You know, this is the lion's voice. Lioness, let's roar, lion pour.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up lion's voice. Now put it, I Jollifer said that.
I'm Nana Farika. The time has come for the lioness to tell her story from her viewpoint and tell the world who Queen Omega is. This is the lion's voice.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
Jano, I'm so hungry, bro. I haven't eaten all day. Like, my head started to hurt me too. Like, what more could I eat right now?
What about a city samosa? Get your samosa, a fusion of Indian, Jamaican, and African culture. City samosas, the best samosas in the city.
She's like the flowers in my garden, and her heart has never hardened, and she give me loving in the morning. Babylon, you are go far without no warning. Black woman, I said I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could have be my children's mother, but no struggle, so we both could help each other. And then I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could have be my children's mother, but no struggle, so we both could help each other. Started in the village, now we in the city. Journey where we have together, everybody see. Spent a little time out in captivity. Babylon, their plan was to destroy the family. Still I want you to bring a child for me. Maybe in the spring when birds are sing lovely, maybe we could plan to have a summer baby. I can be the man that you depend on. Put the pen to the paper, made a love song. Babylon, they separated us for so long, and the reason that they hated us was so wrong. Still the most High, he created us, we so strong. Then same Kushite and the Dogon. Love your melanin, no follow for them program. Black woman, me not go pass on you for no one. No, no one, that's my slogan. Black woman, I said I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could be my children's mother. But no struggle, so people could help each other. Then I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could be my children's mother. But no struggle, so people could help each other. She's like the oxygen in my flame. Loving where we have nobody can contain. Love so powerful, survive shackle and chain. Love it cross the ocean way before planes. Love survive them torture, rape and dear pain. When one escape, then the other get blame. That's why I never put no one above you. That's why I'm not ashamed to say I love you. That's why them dirty Babylon, they judge you. Feel the power when I kiss and when I hug you. Hold you for hours when I think about how they grudge you. I'm a lion, so I'm never gonna bug you. No, I just wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could be my children's mother. But no struggle, so we both could help each other. Then I wanna be your lover, and I don't want any other. You alone, I could be my children's mother. But no struggle, so we both could help each other.
What do you have to tell the people about Rastafari?
Light to the world. King of kings and the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. I like himself. Where's right for ruler? Hey yo! Yeah. Hail them high, hail the black king, born the 23rd of July. So tell them guy, who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time, them a try. Them Romans, now them just open them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them comes without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill the lion we come conquer Judah tribe.
Who?
Go through tribulation, and I strive, see sufferation, and I still rise. That's why we tell them in America, live Rastafari in every ghetto area. We come to tell them in a Toronto, straight at Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen, Empress Menen. My name is Kwasi Bonsu, aka the Dejazmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Talk. Welcome to Lion Talk, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions and lionesses are telling our own stories. We have just ended Women's History Month. We are now in the month of April, but we are continuing with our All Woman, All Month agenda. This is continuing up until the Earth Strong of Empress Menen. We have our second annual Empress Menen panel tomorrow. Big things are going on the Lion Voice Network. So we just want to welcome everyone. We have a powerful show tonight. Tonight we are going to go into the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. We've had several guests block on the church, but we're going to block now as it relates to Empress Menen, the Rastafari woman, the traditions, why it's important, what were Empress Menen works in the church. We're going to just have a reasoning. We have a powerful guest tonight, Sistrin. So powerful, you know what I mean, that she really helped to bring out the preceptical order in our brethren Ibilian, as who we know as the Honorable Haile, Honorable Keteis Haile Michael, you know. So we're gonna get some of that story. You know, we love to get a good love story on the Lion Voice Network. And you see, we reason with the Kingman, we always try to reason with the Queen, same way. We also met on this platform the Royal Princess Sitota, and you have seen her City Samosa commercial, the first participant in our youth entrepreneurship program. We are offering free space for all our Rastafari youth entrepreneurs from around the world. If you create a commercial, we'll run it here for free, no charge. 20 and under. We define youths on this platform as 20 and under. So big up City Samosa, and you know the policy that we have here for the Lion Pride. Anywhere you go and you see City Samosa, we want to put this young entrepreneur under some pressure. We want to buy out the samosa them, make her have to run out the store to try to get more ingredients for meet the demand. That's how Lion Pride we want to treat our young entrepreneurs. Put them under some economic pressure of supply and demand. Show them how much we love them, how proud we are that the future is bright. Entrepreneurship is part of Rastafari liberty. Empress Menen and His Majesty, both business people. So that is a key part of our tradition as nobility, because remember, Rastafari is a nobility trad. Yes, we may rise from the poorest of circumstance, we rise from all different walks of life. However, the trad is a noble trad, you know what I mean? And we are changing the paradigm that Rastafari is a poverty trad. No, we are saying economic development, economic empowerment here. So big up all of our youth entrepreneurs. Big up Lion Pride on Patreon. We had a new brethren who joined us in our Patreon. And if this is your first time watching, let me just explain something to the item. If you subscribe, you're part of the Lion Pride. And we have an economic engine to be Rastafari independent, non-aligned media. We are using a crowdfunding model. So our economic engine, people who support the message, the content, they are called the Lion Pride on Patreon. We just had our newest Lion Pride on Patreon, Selassie. He is from Australia. So our first Australian Ras. You want to say this tribe go to the four corners of creation. There's no better evidence than when a man named Selassie I become a Lion Pride on Patreon and his Australian dollars him appear every month. You know what I mean? Big up yourself, Selassie I, all the Australia Lion Pride. We are not gonna stop.
I have to be very transparent with the item and have a moment of vulnerability. We did fail in our goal. Our goal was to have 100 people in the Patreon by April 1st. We are at 31, so we failed dramatically. However, as I said on this platform, failure is a part of the journey. We don't fear failure. And every time I fail, I want to be transparent. I don't just brush it to the side. You know what I mean? We don't just brush it to the side and go on like nothing ever happened. We come and we're honest and we say we failed. We set a goal for ourselves and we didn't achieve the goal. But I want the young brethren to see that we don't have to fear failure. Failure is a part of any process, any progress. You know what I mean? You will see failure on the journey. The flaw is if you hug up failure and you stay at that stage and you don't walk past failure. But any successful person knows failure very well. We're comfortable to see failure and big up failure when we see him on the journey because it's part of it. So I don't want any young person out there to not start pursuing their passion, to pursue their vision, to pursue their dream because they're afraid of failure. A baby doesn't get out the womb and start run up and down. The baby learns to crawl, then learns to walk. You see, man, say there's stumbling along the way. So it's part of nature. And as I said, we didn't meet the goal 31. We have also ended our program for the consultation. So we have our initial cohort of ones that are getting the consultations who took the offer, big them up. However, we're going to launch a new offer today that's going to run until the end of the second quarter, to the end of June. If you join, we're resetting the goal. We fail, yes, we acknowledge it, but we have to move forward now. So the new goal is 100 in the Patreon by June, end of June, July 1st. 100 in the Patreon. And what we're doing for this, anyone who comes within this time period, we're going to be doing monthly Zoom calls for everyone. So the same thing, I'm not going to do the individual consultation. The people who came in before April 1st, they're locked in. So we're going to be continuing those individual consultations. But for everyone who comes between now, April 1st, June, we're going to be doing Zoom calls. We're going to build a community. So anybody who comes in is welcome. We'll do monthly calls, all different topics that the item want to address. We'll try to address. If we need to bring in guests, we'll try to bring in guests. You know, the item will get to determine how that looks. In the Patreon, I come as a servant of the audience. Again, that's how you stay independent, not by sponsors or getting big money from one or two sources. It's by the little from many. You know, the $5, the $10 from all of the brethren and sisters out there around the world is what will make us powerful, that we can create Rastafari-centric content at the highest level, world-class media operation. That's the vision here, and the item are watching it rise. Still the fastest growing Rastafari platform on the planet, and still unapologetically Rastafari and Pan-African in this time of Armageddon. So big up all the Lion Pride on Patreon, big up the Ubuntu Lion Pride. If you give an attribution of over $70, you become part of the Ubuntu Lion Pride. That is a one-time attribution. It's going to go up as well. We're going to be taking that up to $100, but from now to July 1st, $70. Become a part of the Ubuntu. This is a legacy, you know what I mean? So families, small businesses can take up that opportunity because we're making history here. We're very aware that we're making history as a community, and we give thanks for all of the love and support from the global family. Big up the Action Lion Pride, over 1,000 shares last month in March across the platform. Big up on yourself. You don't have $1, you can't become part of the engine, but you still at work. You like, you comment, you share, you boots up the algorithm. Big up on yourself, Action Lion Pride. Big up the watch and peep, you know what I mean? Some of them just watch, don't do anything, we still give thanks. Your watch hours help us to monetize the channel, and we generate income that way just by the item watching going forward and watching the old episodes. Big up all of the item who find the platform. We have the most Rastafari women voices of any platform on the planet. We have the most voices of the Trinidad Rastafari family than any platform on the planet. Elders, youths, doctors, you name it, across grassroots. We have the whole spectrum of the Rastafari family: Bobo Shanti, Nyabingi, EWF, 12 Tribe. It's all here. Rastafari, independent, non-aligned media is rising. So big up everyone who's making this possible. Again, remember, tomorrow, bring up the flyer, please. Tomorrow, massive event taking place on the channel. You might have seen the flyer circulating. I see it bubbling through social media right now. We have a massive panel. Empress Menen, the life, the legacy, the impact. We're going to go deep tomorrow night to celebrate Empress Menen Earth Strong. We have Dr. Asantua Opongwade. She's a scholar, author of the Empress Menen Chronicles. She's going to give us the history. Dr. Jazanai Kush, also a professor, founder of the Blue Fire Order. She's going to give us the spiritual prophetess side of Empress Menen. We have Empress Dion from Empress Menen Rising out of Trinidad, representing the collective. We're going to talk to her about the legacy, how the Rastafari woman represent the legacy of Empress Menen. We have the artist Janine and Sistrin coming to talk about impact. Empress Menen has inspired her. Singers and the players of instruments shall be there. She has been spreading the sound of Empress Menen in her musical works. We're going to talk about impact. We have Dr. Wolete Beresford, one of the greatest researchers we have in the Liberty, librarian, Idor board chair. We're going to talk about Empress Menen in terms of her business holdings. Sister Wolete has gone to Ethiopia, researched the deeds of the properties that Empress Menen owned. We're going to go deep, family. And then finally, we go to the UK. Empress Sinai Fleury, the founder of Just Jam magazine, is going to be with us from the UK. It's going to be midnight. She says she's going to take a nap and rise up for the panel. That's how serious this display of Rastafari unity. These are sisters from all across the spectrum. So make sure you mark your calendar. This is going to be an event that people will be talking about from time. So big up all of the panelists. We're looking forward to that, making history tomorrow night for Empress Menen Earthstrong. If you see I sipping during the episode, it is Ramia King Design, my brethren Raslage, Rastafari Business. We also have to big up Ras Woolday, Phil Potts, and the whole CMOS Life family. You can see my shirt. We have the Reading Ras merch available. You can support the channel that way. Go to Dejazmatch.com. We have all type of merchandise. We are going to make reading physical books the thing to do again. We have to preserve that culture, the Reading Ras Daya. We also have books on hand. Just mailed out a book today to a brethren in Kentucky. We have Haile Selassie, Ethiopia. Get your signed copies. So these are all of the aspects of our creative ecosystem, and we give thanks to be able to share them with the family. And as I said, in the Patreon, I'm helping other people to do their passion and to monetize it, make it sustainable. We want to build businesses where we can employ our children and create community wealth. We need an economic base as we prepare for repatriation and the next phase of Rastafari Liberty, which is the industrial stage. Factories, schools, hospitals, health centers, taking it from a hierarchical, balancing the hierarchical with the physical and creating those structures. That's where we are right now, to play our role in the great rising of the African continent. You think they was going to leave Iron out? You think we are going to leave Ibrahim Traore and all them man, if you have all of the fun a Rise Up Africa. Don't do it that. Rastafari will be there from all corners of creation. All right? All right. Housekeeping out of the way. Family, we are here. Ready. This guest, powerful guest. I've encountered this sister in years. May I see her upon the back of field, you know what I mean? Our king man is a, brethren where, as I say, I always admire the work ethic, family values, you know what I mean? How him hold himself as an upright man. Big up Ibi Lion, the Honorable Kez, Haile, Mikael. He's been on the platform twice. But this is the we say one flesh. This is the other side. You know what I mean? We're gonna see his feminine side, queen. But she is a powerhouse in her own right, extensive background in communications, PR training. She is solid when it comes on to that. We're gonna find out about that history. She's also a singer, beautiful voice. You saw her. We have a new drop. She just blessed us in the intro. We'll play it again at the ending of the episode. Beautiful songstress as well. Also, the co-owner, founder of Veggie Meals on Wheels, Ital Sip in Kingston, Jamaica. You can in a Jamaica and go any function and you don't know about Veggie Meals on Wheels. She is part of the uprising. So, Lion Pride, help I to welcome the powerful Keteis Oyunde. Rastafari blessings.
He says, give thanks, that's crazy.
Yes, Rastafari blessings. Are you able to switch your phone like this?
Certainly.
Yes.
Is that good?
Let's hope the phone cooperate and rotate for us.
Is that good?
It's not rotating for us.
Okay, hold on.
If not, we can work with it. The other way. Did it? All right. Turn it forward.
Okay.
We'll work with it.
Yeah.
Give thanks. All right. I see some Lion Pride on Patreon in the house. Gain on me. Big up yourself. I have a family here, Sister Keteis. You have to low, you know what I mean? Because we're happy to see with one another. Yeah. All right. So, as custom, I want to ask the eye to step into the Lion Talk time machine. Take us to the moment of your birth. Where were you born? What parish? Give us the origin story of the mighty Keteis.
Okay. You think you have enough time?
Yeah, man. I whole heap of time. We're ready, man. A reasoning, We have bubble script. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. All right. So, I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, but you don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a Kingstonian because sometimes you're born someplace, but you have no choice. Being born in Kingston was a matter of had to based on the fact that I came from St. Mary. But St. Mary doesn't have a hospital to give birth to children. I mean, at the time. So, most people come to town to have their children. So that's how I was born in Kingston. So I always accept St. Mary over Kingston. I'm a country girl. Even though I spent most of my, after I grew up in the country up until about 10 years old. And then I lived in Kingston thereafter. But I still have, rural roots. St. Mary, I'm from St. Mary. I escaped and I said St. Mary I'm coming from. So I said the same thing, see? So I was born given the name Keteis Oyunde Walters. Okay. I'm from a family of 8, 6 brothers and 1 sister. My mother, from very early, always roots, was introduced to Rastafari by my father. I really didn't grow up with a father, really. I grew up in a matriarchal home with my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and my mother. So that's my mother's grandmother, my mother's mother, and my mother. Father went away when I was like a baby, like 2 years old. He was in America and all of that. I grew up and I began attending the Ethiopian Orthodox Church at 7 years old. I mean, with my mother, of course, And my mother have always said that one thing she will always thank my father for was introducing her to Rastafari. My father was like a Comson Rastaman, back in the days in Trenchtown with Bob Marley, and he and Marty McPlana was very good friends. That's Kumi. Some people know him as Kumi. And so that early exposure to Rastafari helped me to grow in a cultural family, And after going to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church over a period of time and growing up into the faith, I basically took on the late Archbishop Abuna Isak as my father, not having my biological father. He was a father for me, like a biological father.
Okay.
Never really missed my biological father. You know what I mean? It's ironic that we're having this conversation because it's only 2023 I began to learn so much about my father while he was in the United States, because he passed away like 25 years ago.
Okay.
And luckily, prayerfully, I met him 3 months before he passed. The first time I came to the US, it was like late, it was 1999. And I insisted, I was working at Grace Kennedy, and I said, boy, I really didn't come to New York. I came to a conference in Texas, representing as the president of the Youth Association for the Orthodox Church. And I said, you know what? Something in me was telling me to route my ticket from Kingston to Texas and then Texas to New York just to see my father, because he was living in New York. And so I did that by the Spirit that guided me to do that. And luckily I did, because when instead of going back to Jamaica after I left the conference like 3 days, I came to New York for the next 3 days and met him for the first time.
Wow.
I was married yet or anything. I was young, early 20s. And I met him, and I never had any resentment somehow, And he passed 3 months later. So prayer was answered, because I've always prayed that I would want to meet my father before he died.
Wow.
And Jah answered that prayer for me, so I give thanks for that. Yes, so basically, I grew up in Ethiopian Orthodox community of Garden Town Road called Dejazmatch. Dejazmatch means Mount of Olives in Amharic,
Okay.
And that community was blessed by His Grace Abuna Isak, and I ended up in that community because of the situation of my mother, growing with her, and she was living in the country with my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and then, for work purposes, she came back to Kingston when I was 10, and she moved like from Oxford Street to King Street to Maxfield Avenue, then to Papi in Dejazmatch, which is off Garden Town Road, where I spent like from 13 years old until I was an adult there. So that was a grounding moment for me growing up in that community, Rastafari, Orthodox family, and like a countryside type of vibration. Because Dejazmatch is really between Papine and Garden Town.
Yes.
You cross a river and go up a mountain. So it was a really Ilstrad, like a real Rastafari lifestyle within the community.
What was the first memory you have of Abuna Isak?
Very good question you asked. I remember as a child, when I saw him, I didn't know him, but I just felt like this was a holy man. He just seemed like he had a presence, like an aura, that made me feel like this was not just a regular man, he was a holy man. And I began to cry when I saw him, because I felt his presence. I can't explain it, but when you see something and it's almost like you never experienced it before, it brings a feeling within you. That's the first memory I have of it.
How old were you at that time?
Boy, tell you the truth, I could be 11, I could be, I don't remember, but I can't remember, but it could be even maybe 8 or 9. I don't remember. I was a little girl.
Okay.
The first time I met him, I was a little girl.
And what were some of the reasonings that you would have with him as a little girl that you remember?
Well, he was my confidant. I was always going to him and talking to him about any concern, any struggles, and he was always there, And I've made several of these council sessions with him. I even came to abroad to the US and traveled with him, like from New York to Washington DC, where he used to go to church sometimes, because he used to live in Jersey City. So I can't pinpoint one particular event where I can say, okay, let me try and remember. Well, let me remember. Not as a child though. I remember before I had my daughter, before I had
Yes.
my daughter, I always go to him like after I got married and say, you know, I want a daughter, and it never happened because I didn't have to daughter until like 5 years after marriage.
Yes.
So I was kind of worried about infertility and those things. So I always go to him and and talk to him, and he said that don't worry, don't rush, just be patient, you will have it. So I remember when this daughter was born 2006 and he died 2005, and I remember clearly. Um, I went to visit him at the Beth Israel in New Jersey hospital, and I saw him there. He wasn't speaking. What you call that again when you're in a coma?
Yes. Yes.
And I was thinking in myself because I believed in what he told me that you will have. I believe it when he told me, So when I was by his bed and I watched him not talking and they're presuming that he was going to die, I think he was in the hospice. I said to myself that, my goodness, I still was believing. I said to myself, boy, it's like Abba is going to die and he's not going to see me have a child, because he was always praying for me, hoping and, telling me, assuring me. And believe you me, he died like December 29 and I came back to Jamaica January 2, like, because I had to come, And right after I came back, that's when I got the daughter. So I always say, I know it was his blessing.
Give thanks.
Gave
Give
me the
thanks.
daughter.
Wow.
That is one memory I can't forget. But there are many good memories with him growing up as a child. I trusted him with everything. I remember before I had a boyfriend, I went to him and I talked to him, and like I said, I didn't want to have no boyfriend. I want to be a nun. And he said, no, you have to have a husband. you have to have. So from he told me that, now I started thinking like that. Growing up, a lot of young girls, not just in Jamaica, grow up and they have traumas in their early life, like they see
Yes.
abuse, they might have abused themselves, and they might go up and take a stance and say, okay, I watched women getting beat up by men as a child. Like at 14, I saw this man beating up his baby mother, kicking her, and she was pregnant, and it was like it traumatized me. So at one point in my teenage years, I was thinking that, I'm afraid, of that relationship thing. So I used to express these things to him, and he always, encouraged me.
Wow.
Mhm.
So, how did you feel as a young girl about the divinity of His Majesty and Empress Menen? When did you start thinking about the spiritual aspect? You're growing up in a Rastafari environment, but when is it that you as an individual start to question or to say, I'm gonna lean Orthodox? I'm gonna, when did you start making those decisions for yourself?
Well, all right. Let me go back to 7 years old. As I said,
Yes.
I started going to the church when I was 7 with my mom. Children, when
Okay.
they're going with their parents, they don't really have choice. They just go. At the same time, when I was going to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church with my mom at Maxwell Avenue, my grandma used to live in America, and she used to come, and every time she comes, I have to go to Adventist with her on the Saturday, you know? And then on Sunday, I go with my mom. So I remember, because they're Adventists and my father's mother. So I remember now, after going to her church on Saturdays and then going to my mother's church on Sunday, I decided that when I went to my mother's church, which is the Orthodox church, I used to feel the same solemn vibe. Because when you go to the Orthodox church, you take off your shoes and go inside, you cover your ear, and covering your ear as a woman or a female within the Ethiopian faith, it gives a certain level of solemnity. When you cover your ear and you're in the service, you're just focusing on the altar. You're not looking left, you're not looking right. As opposed to Protestant churches, sometimes you go and you sit down beside everybody, sit down on one hand, because and sometimes distraction and all these things. So I used to look at those things as a child and say, when I'm in this church, it seems so like it's a God place. It seemed
Yes.
holy, feel that way. Even though I didn't know what holiness was. I just felt
Yes.
something like special.
Yes.
And so I started taking my time, and when grandma comes sometime, I didn't want to go to the Adventist church. And then she even asked me about it. And even years after, my cousins and my uncles asked me, why you used to go to Adventist church and you go to Orthodox or Rasta, because them call it Rasta church. And I said, I used to see my cousin in the church touching up girls and those things. And I said, I never feel that was the right thing to do in a church. But when I go to my mother's church, I see a more seriousness with with church thing. Men sit on the left, women sit on the right, and as I said, the Netala, which is the Shama here, we just focus on you feel a different spiritual vibration, basically. So I chose that faith after understanding those things from a tender age. I embraced it even more. So I grew up in there, grew up under the watchful care of His Grace Abuna, Isak, other clergymen, other father figures, because within the Ethiopian Orthodox faith, we are family. As you know, when we say family, we don't mean like it's beyond blood, because I would say spirit is stronger than blood. You know what I mean? So when you become a member of the faith now, you really become a part of the family of the Almighty, of God, of Ixiab here. So we don't see like, okay, because we have our biological family, we just see them as family. We start to see the church as our family, a real family, brothers and sisters. You know?
Serious.
Yeah.
So in terms of the Orthodox, we know a Jesus Christos all a central place. How did you balance that with the Rastafari teaching on His Majesty and these things? I know different Orthodox members look at things differently. But how does the eye see the divinity of His Majesty, or does the eye see divinity within His Majesty?
Well, within the Orthodox faith, right? A lot. If you interview 100 or 50 or 20 or 10 persons who attend the Ethiopian Orthodox faith now, they will tell you that Haile Selassie was the door that led them to the faith. Even my mother has the story. She tell you how she get to the faith. You wouldn't believe it. Oh, she had a dream of Haile Selassie telling her to go, and when she come to Apple Tree, she didn't even know where the church was. But when she reached to come off of the bus, and just got up and she pressed it right at the bus stop, and and when she went, she saw two old ladies going, and she asked them where the Orthodox Church is, and they said that's exactly where we were going. Right? So the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, we have to understand the role that it plays with regards to within the Rastafari community.
Yes.
The link, there's a bridge right there. There's a link between the Rastafari faith, Rastafarians, and the Ethiopian faith. Because remember, prior to the church coming to Jamaica in 1970, there were pure Protestant churches on the island of Jamaica. Rastaman, Rasta woman, Rastafari ones were not going to those churches. So they were always asking for a non-colonial faith. Right? Moreover, Haile Selassie himself came there in Jamaica in 1966, and he saw the love and devotion that Jamaicans and Rastafari people had for him, Rastafari people specifically. And so he promised that he would send people, and he did send Abuna Isak in 1970 to establish the church. As a matter of fact, when the church came in 1970, within that year, in one day, 750 members were baptized in the faith. Wow. Majority of them were Rastafarians. 18 couples were married in the faith. One of those couples were Sister Minnie and Dr. Peter Phillips. They were Orthodox, you understand me? At the time. So when the church came, Rastafarians embraced it as their own. That was the idea. It came to liberate as a liberated faith, as a faith with over 2,000 years of history, non-colonial, coming out of Ethiopia, indigenous to Africa. It came with all the accolades that Rastafari was rallying for. Yes, so Rastafari embrace it. Now, His Majesty Haile Selassie himself is a defender of the faith. When we hear these sayings all the time, oh, Haile Selassie is my defender of the faith, what does that mean? Defending the faith. How do you explain defender of the faith? Haile Selassie defended the faith from day one. You understand me? From day one with the religious situation, from when he went into exile 1930s, when the Italian invasion 1936 to 1941, and when he went away and he left the Ethiopian church under the care of the Coptic bishop of Alexandria, Abuna Kerelos. And when he was in exile, he heard that Abuna Kerelos almost gave into Italian forces to sell out his people, and he was very upset. And from that day, he began to seek autocephalous position. He started to seek that the church be independent of Egypt. That's a defending, That's defending the faith to its fullest, because had he not done that, Ethiopia would still be with seeking their bishops and patriarchs in Egypt, in Alexandria. He changed all of that, right? No, all of these things are not something that we make up. It's a fact, right? And within Rastafari, Haile Selassie is seen as divine, right? As God, right? Now, if we see Haile Selassie as God and Haile Selassie embrace a faith, wouldn't it be logical to embrace the faith that he's a part of and he defends? Right. So everything of it has its place. I think everything has its place within the faith and Rastafari in terms of the role. Because life is a spiritual and we are physical. The faith within Rastafari is a spiritual aspect of Rastafari that we have to look at. You understand? Because whereas I grew up and I embraced like wearing long, modest clothes and as a sister covering my hair, I was taught that by Rastafari, not Ethiopian women who came to Jamaica for the first time. When I came aboard and I saw them. So the example that I saw within Rastafari also empowered me within the faith. So everything is intertwined.
Yeah, man.
You know?
It's an Asian tradition.
Yes.
And the reason that I'm asking these questions is because it's on the record that it was the eye that inspired your kingman to join the Orthodox Church. So I want to show the people the root of this faith that was so strong. You know what I mean? Your kingman said that, you know, not I cause problems in your life, you know. And the kingman come on the air and say it was really I queen that was treading within the Orthodox and invited I, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That is how he now not only became a member but is now a priest, you know, within the Orthodox faith. So I'm just showing the people how strong the I faith is, and I know that the I reasoning must be powerful to have a lion like Ibi Lion who used to ride him bicycle with him locks of flowing at the breeze.
It's the fullness, you know, it's just the fullness. Sometimes like when you know something and you know more, it's good for you. So when we are tried Rastafari and Rastafari China, a next light or a brighter light, we have to embrace it because it's still Rastafari lead you to the faith. It's still Rastafari teaching within the faith. Because even when Bob Marley said, give us the teachings of His Majesty, because we don't want the devil philosophy, what do we think the teaching of His Majesty is? You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
the teaching of His Majesty has to be maybe not everything, but some aspect of the teaching of the Ethiopian faith. Must. Because his life is embedded in the faith from a child. He was born into the faith. His parents, grandparents, you know, baptized into the faith.
It was the faith that crowned him as king of kings.
Crowned in the faith.
Yes. So,
like to me, it's inseparable, you know. It's like sometimes we don't, like, when we talk to not just the I, but with even on other platforms with media people, it's like you want me to deny who I am. It's like, all right, there's a saying that I made up recently to say, don't forget the road that you have walked because you think you reach where you want to go. So if you walk through Rastafari to go somewhere, you can't forget to Rastafari is the door. The door is very important. The door is the entrance, you know. So I'm not gonna say deny Rastafari because I'm an Ethiopian Orthodox Christian, you know. So
yes, give thanks. Yes. I love that reasoning. One of the things that, you know, I always say is I could never disrespect the Orthodox Church because I studied the King. The King brought I to the Bible. The King brought I to even an understanding of the Orthodox faith. But then I also know that we have Bahatawi. We might not sit down in a church service, you know what I mean, but still treading through. Because all people shall heal him, you know. So I'm not yet a member of the church. You know, it may happen one day, I don't know. But I respect the teaching. I respect Yeshua, you know what I mean, revelation, but I still hail His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie as the Almighty. But I think that one of the reasons I call this platform Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media is because we want to make space for all of the family, you know what I mean? So we can agree to disagree on points and not get into no doctrinal war. And then we agree on 99% of everything else, but we're fighting over this little small, should the red be on top of the flag, or it should be the green down there, and Yeshua, and burn this and that, and it creates a confusion. You know what I mean? So we have to allow everyone to hold their lane and to glorify within their lane. The only thing I ask my brethren and sistren out there is to not contradict His Majesty teaching, because we have ones who are, for example, burning out certain Judeo Christian sound, and I say it don't make sense if His Majesty is the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, and then you tell me say all of them think they're fairy tale or foolishness. You know what I mean? We can't, if you don't agree, I can't tell you to agree, but just leave that alone. You know what I mean? Don't contradict the king. If you say you're Rastafari now, if you're not Rastafari, free water way. Do what you do. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't call by his name and not contradict the way of life. You know what I mean? But that is where we are. But Abuna Isak, for those who are not really familiar, because your teacher is literally a legend, within the world and within his historic place, because as you said earlier, His Majesty sent him to Jamaica to establish a church. Talk about Abuna Isak, who he was as a historical figure. I know he was a father figure to the eye, but just for those who are not familiar with his legacy, explain who he was and why he's important for us to know about.
All right. Well, Abuna Isak, I would say, was the angel from the east,
Okay.
From how I interpret it originally. Because before he came to Jamaica, he told us several times that different clergymen were sent before, but they were always afraid to come to Jamaica because of the Rastafarian like them, Rasta, them terrible on Jamaica, you can't go. And he said even at one point, he kind of wanted to resist, and His Majesty said, you have to go. But His Majesty know why he had to go. Because he had the character, the patience, the love, the humility, especially the love, because what he came and do in the Western Hemisphere, and at the time when he came, the church never have specific diocese like say, okay, you have a bishop responsible for Caribbean, one for America. Like no, he was responsible for the whole Western Hemisphere.
Okay.
So that's a whole heap of work, a whole heap of workload for that, for the whole Western Hemisphere. I mean, in the Americas, Caribbean, and so forth, right? And even South Africa. Now, he was special because he never came and discriminate like some other cleric, and he came and he accepted, especially the Rastafari ones, for who they are or were. He said, your philosophy is your philosophy, right? And I come to teach the Ethiopian teachings about the Ethiopian Orthodox faith. That will not stop you from coming to the church, but you have to come and eat our teachings. So that's why even at one point they were calling him the Rasta Bishop, because it was controversial that they never want Rastafari ones in the Orthodox Church and all these things. But at one point Abuna Isak even went to Michael Manley the Prime Minister at the time in Jamaica, and let them stop, disrespecting Rastafari, stop trimming them in the street and all those things. He was one of those persons who went and spoke on behalf of Rastafari ones to the head of state at the time, Michael Manley.
Okay.
So Abuna Isak, he was on the battlefield, and he went where no other person would go, being fearful and afraid and being discriminatory. He established the church under a lot of pressure, under a lot of obstacles, and he never relented even up until his passing. As you know, with the split and the whole history with the
Yeah.
church,
Yes, with the
because
dirts.
yeah, and all of that, he never stopped. He um he was he was a counselor for many people. As you know, he was also the one who baptized Bob Marley. He was um he was a father for many others too. He was a um healer. Cause sometimes you would say when Abuna Isak come to Jamaica, cause rain always a fall. As a child, I remember when he's in the island, like he would know. People would say, "Wow, Abba there, and when you go to church on a Sunday, yeah, he's there." And he had a aura that brought people together. And I used to observe that whenever there was any little political problems within the church, within clergy, or even laity, and he would call a meeting and have everybody come. And then at the end of the meeting, he feed everybody with food. And when they come down, everything level back. He had a way that like a real father, a real apostle vibration, real essence of a father, caring, understanding, or overstanding wise. Um, Abuna Isak is like the thing that he has done. I think we have spoken many times within the faith that he should be a saint. People
Okay.
tell you that he healed them. People get testimony, and he was able sometimes to tell you about things where you wouldn't know that he would know, like a prophet. Tell you things that you say, "Oh, no, that spiritual." You know, um, he he had a special aura. You know, he had a special aura, and even in his passing or before his passing, he requested to stay with us in Jamaica, even in the spirit. A deep thing, a deep thing. He will tell you that I remember one night we were driving into Washington D.C. I can't forget this one. The young man who was driving him got lost, and he was spinning around and around, and he was like 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, and he had to wake up at 5 o'clock to go to church in Washington D.C. And he was in the car and he wasn't even complaining. And when he opened his mouth and said, we soon find a way, because the virgin who was driving was more worried that he was lost and he not going to get enough rest. And Abba said, no worry, we'll soon reach where we're going. And like within him saying that, the young man find back the way and drove right into Washington D.C. And those are just one moment. There are many instances where some things happen mystically with Abuna Isak. He was a mystic man, very mystic, very prophetic, you know, um,
Did
very,
he,
very powerful.
did he tell you any stories about the emperor?
Yeah, he always said the emperor was my father. He sent him to school, he sent him to study in America, you know, and all those things. And he told us a lot of good things about His Majesty in how he helped Ethiopia with modernization and education, and all the development of building the churches and monasteries and those things. And he also told us about the story of after the first Ethiopian patriarch was consecrated in 1959, Abuna Basilius. After he was consecrated and Ethiopia became autocephalous of Egypt, um, it was Haile Selassie who ordered the five bishops who were appointed by Abuna Basilius after that, that the picture of Saint George's slewing, no, not the dragon, the picture of the devil being painted black must change to green, because they were always using the picture from the Coptic Orthodox Church in Egypt with the devil being black. So Haile Selassie ordered that those bishops going to take up their position must repaint and put the devil in green. He changed that,
Yeah.
from that time. Abuna Isak told us about that story. He there are many stories he told us about, being in the monastery. Because he grew up in a monastery. He was in the monastery from he was 3 years old.
Okay.
From a long lineage of clergymen within his family. His father, his grandfather, his great grandfather, yeah. And of course he
Did
was
you
born
know
in
the name of the monastery?
is it Deba Lebanos?
Deborah Barnos is a famous one.
Yes, I believe he's rebel Lebanese, but he was born in Adwa.
Okay.
Battle took place. And his father was a powerful man too. Abuna Isak. Mandefo was his last name. Mandefo.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Abuna Isak. The establishment of the church, as we speak, specifically in Jamaica, it's very important to note that he started the faith in Bakawal.
Okay.
Again, linking back to Rastafari. I remember Bakawa was a Rasta used to gather down at Tivoli Garden, right? Before the church was built on Maxfield Avenue, where it is now, the headquarters. Abu Isak used to have meetings on a Bakawa. As I said, when he came, the majority who embraced him, because remember, you know, in Jamaica, who really embraced Ethiopia? Rastafari, we can't deny that.
Of course.
See me? So the church started in Bakawal and a place named Ebenezer, and then he moved from Ebenezer, and the first baptism took place at St. Andrew Parish Church, downtown Parade, when he just borrowed the church from, you know, he was building relationship with the other clergymen from that state, and he borrowed the church too, because we didn't have our church yet. And then after that, now the church, we built our first bamboo church. I think it was the late 70s or early 80s, because he was so determined to have our own church. So when you know that, you know, mainly poor people rallied towards the church, mainly poor people, Rastafari people, he insisted that, okay, let's build something, and even if it's a bamboo church. And within no time, the bamboo church was built. And I remember one Christmas, I was too young to remember, but I read of it and I heard of it. One Christmas, it made the paper where I think the Governor General and some Jamaican politicians were invited to a nativity service on January 7th, Gena service. And when they came, I saw the bamboo church, and Abuna Isak was giving the sermon. He says, "Welcome to the manger." You know, because like having a service in a bamboo church, you know, was like a manger, like how Christ was rejected to go into the inn, but he was welcome in the manger.
So, you know? So His Majesty never sent him with money to build a church?
Well, I wouldn't say he sent him with money to build a church. He didn't send him with money, but whatever he had wasn't enough to build a church. Okay. Building a church takes consistent money, you know?
Of course.
Yes. Because what I remember is that the patriarch at the time was Abuna Theophilus. He donated some money towards the groundbreaking of building the church. Because really, Haile Selassie was more concerned about Rastafarians and Afrocentric people who were always advocating for African church. He was more concerned about Abuna Isak coming to teach us about our history that we never know about, the connection of the fact that Africans or Cushites or Abyssinians or Ethiopians had a history of Christianity rooted in Africa, not Europe. And that's the big difference. Because remember, Rasta born out Christ, Rasta born out all of these things, which is, you know, God links because of the fact that it was brought to us, brought to I and I through the Western eyes and yes, European eyes.
Corrupted.
Right. So what he did, he came because at one point the New York Times called Abuna Theophilus, who was the patriarch at the time, the Black Pope. Because remember, we under serious colonial rule in the West, you know. But more so then, even now. So when you hear say a church I come to Jamaica, or and it's a church where have ancient origins and ancient history, it's like them no want to accept that. Because as far as they know, the Western churches were the first. You know what I mean? The African churches, Africa never know Christ, but the Ethiopian church started from the 1st century AD, from the Ethiopian eunuch was baptized. That is the only faith I can see linked to the Bible. If you ask me right now, I don't see, Adventist, Catholic, they will tell you about the beginning of their churches. 18 something, 16 something, 15 something. But the Ethiopian faith has its root in the Bible, established by the apostles themselves, because it's an apostolic faith. You know? So His Majesty sent Abuna Isak because he saw the love and devotion, as I said, Rastafarian had for him. So you want to share his faith with them as well, not just himself. Sending Abuna Isak to establish the faith was Haile Selassie sharing his faith with those who love him. So, as I said earlier, we have to balance the spiritual with other aspects of our life. You know, like we have a soul, we have a body. We have a spirit, and we have a body. It's not just about the flesh, so we pretty up ourselves, but what about the inside part, the soul, the spiritual part? So it's a balanced life, you know?
Crucial. When did you first have awareness about Empress Menen?
As I said, I grew up, all right. I would just say maybe, all right, 11, 12 years old. My mother, growing up with my mother, as far as I can remember, I should have sent another picture there, but I was maybe 12 at that time. My mother, before we went to live in the Orthodox community of Gordonton, which is Rastafari living in the community as well. My mother used to live down King Street downtown, right? From Oxford Street to King Street, and I was always with her because I'm the littlest girl. My sister used to live with my aunt and my brothers in the country and stuff. But she always have me with her because I'm the littlest girl. So I remember my mother always, even when she got the Orthodox Church, having her big regular and green regular. She a Rasta woman and those things. So I'm always with her, and she carry herself with it, up for a year. Wear long clothes. She always have red, gold, and green representing. And as I say, I knew Center Fox from those times too. Center Fox and Mortimer Planner. I knew them because she used to go downtown Oxford Street to link them. Center Fox used to travel and live in the States, so she would maybe go to him and check in on him about my father, trying to find him in the US and all of that. So I was always around Rastafari from the early time there. And I remember one Rasta man used to live in the yard in Oxford Street. I think it's 5 Oxford Street, named Genie. It's a Bobo Shanty. As a matter of fact, I think he could be the first Rasta man I know. He may have died now, but he used to live in a tent in the tenement yard, right? My mother sometimes stayed in the tenement yard with me. And I would always be in the tenement yard and hear Genie a chant in tent. Like him pray a lot of times during the day. Night and day, him a chant. I don't know what he was saying, but he was praying and Selassie, Bobo Shanty. And I remember always like enthused about, it was about his devotion as a Rasta man. And when you see him, peace and love, blessed love, and even at that early age, Rastas were being discriminated. And I used to wonder why, because I'm saying Rastafari was the most peaceful people I saw. Growing up in their liberty, in actually blessed love and friendliness. You know what I mean? And even when I used to go to church with my grandma and I see that they discriminate against Rasta, I'm saying, but if it's a Christian church, why the Christian church wouldn't accept everybody? Because Christians supposed to, convert if at least try to convert them there.
Yes.
So I basically grew up and was more closer to Rastafari within an early exposure. Growing up in Dejazmatch, Rastaman always did a reason, a showman of things. The Orthodox Church are the same thing. You know what I mean?
So were they lifting up Empress Menen in those early days, and did you have a consciousness of the Empress?
Certainly, because remember, Haile Selassie, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie was found with Empress Menen. So the example of Empress Menen in those days was the fact that she was a graceful woman. And because she was graceful, we were encouraged to be graceful too. Even the covering of her hair. Before the church came, Rasta women were covering their hair. As I said to you, I wasn't taught to cover my ear and those things by the faith. I was taught before the faith, before I was exposed to the faith, by the example of Rasta women who were embracing Empress Menen as the example, And so from that early age, Empress Menen, even sometimes I would wear her icon on my forehead, and whatever, because I got an early exposure to her being a very royal, powerful, devoted, religious woman from early. And remember, loving and defending Haile Selassie and his queen beside him. We have to love her as well, automatically, because she and him is one. Within the faith, Haile Selassie and Empress Menen is one, to I and I.
So, obviously, Empress Menen is renowned for her works with the church.
Certainly.
She was a builder of churches, and
monasteries.
And monasteries. Talk about Empress Menen, some of the works that you are familiar with.
Okay. Well, I know she was a deeply religious woman. She built the first girls' school in Ethiopia.
Yes.
Built orphanages. when the men were fighting, or even before they went to fight on the battlefield in the Italian invasion, she was preparing the women mentally and physically how to deal with the losses that come, and even when they lost their kingman or their husbands, she was always there for the widows, and those things. She was always empowering girls, and she championed women rights within Ethiopia. She was the mother of the nation, and even though she had her own tragedies and setbacks, losing her children very early at early ages, that never stopped her from sympathizing with other women within the nation and people overall. Within the church now, when we talk about Ethiopian women's role in the church, specifically Empress Menen, we talk about deep spirituality. Now, if you notice in the Orthodox faith, we don't have women priests, we don't have women deacons, but women does play a role. The role that women play is one that balances the male. Whether your husband is a clergy or not, the woman's role is to ensure that the church has different fasting period, different feasting period, and the church, the women are empowered to make sure that you carry out those periods. When it's fasting time, you're supposed to fast and make sure that you empower the children to fast as well. Empress Menen was a woman who woke up very early in the morning and went to the church to pray almost every morning, and she would stay there like from 5 o'clock till 9 a.m. Within the faith, you have like we're supposed to pray 7 times, as the Psalm says, Psalm of David, Psalm 119, and we have like from 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m., right? Midnight. And she exercised that she exemplified that right throughout Ethiopia and empower other women to do that. Within the faith, she, as I said, she built churches, schools, and also when Haile Selassie, I think it was could be 1948 or 1951, the Church of St. Mary of Zion in Ethiopia at one point never allowed women to go in there. And she, Haile Selassie, with her support, of course, she was one of his most trusted advisor.
Okay, family. Wi-Fi the guy. Show him face. Always want to get a feature on the Lion Voice Network. So give him a little time to feature himself, Wi-Fi the guy, you know how we deal with it. In the meantime, let's check in with the Lion Pride. Gain at me always on the emoji order. Big up Ja, Rastafari fam, bless up yourself, gain at me. Lion Pride on Patreon, checking in always. Yes, sister, some earthly fathers are not always beneficial to daughters' life. Praise Jah for the step up dads and spiritual example of Abaya, love, mercy, and affection. Big up Abuna Isak, having the sister as one of his students. Very powerful. Okay, Sister Marie, big up yourself, long time. Don't see the eye. And Joyce's love, brethren and sister. It's like a family reunion here on the Lion Voice. When we come on a Wednesday. Every Wednesday we're live together. So join. Lion Pride on Patreon, checking out Sister Hayden. Bless up yourself. Greetings and respect. Good sister. Sister Hayden, bless up yourself. Blessed father, blessed daughter, wife, and blessed husband and household. Yes, this is a family-friendly show. Big up Osa Siba Ras Jabali, up for get your cup for Ras Jabali. We have a big cannabis fest for 420 coming up. We're going to be interviewing the House of Siba family, so stay tuned for that. April, a lot of things happening in April, but we're going to talk about the sacramental ganja in April. His Majesty visit the 420, a lot of activity around that. Yeshua, Messiah, and His Majesty is one. Yes, no separation. Zion family. Big up Ethiopian Orthodox Church is the Church of the Almighty. I think that is a fact. Bless up. Bless up the eye. We're gonna see. I don't know what's happening with the connection with our guests. Do remember tomorrow night, same time, we have a massive panel. Empress Menen, bring up the Empress Menen Day flyer. Massive panel. If you are not aware, we are celebrating our second annual Empress Menen panel. You can see tomorrow we have guests from around the world. Mark your calendar, 8 p.m. We will be going live. We are bringing together Sistren. We're going to go deeper into the history of Empress Menen, the life, the legacy, the impact. It's going to be monumental. It's going to be historic. So make sure you lock in, do your shopping today, get your ital snacks, all of them to something there, whatever you do. We're going up in the highest region tomorrow evening with our esteemed panelists. All right. So we're trying to work this out. Sister Keteis, can you hear I? All right, we're gonna try to work out the situation. Producer, see if we can get the Sistren on the line. See if you can go out and come back in. If you can hear I, Sister Keteis, exit and come back in. All right, so everyone, greeting. Sister Keteis, can anybody hear what the Sistren is saying? Drop a comment if you can hear the Sistren. If not, let I know. Because I'm not hearing or seeing. Drop a comment. Lion Pride family, let me know if you can hear what going on. Hold on there. I see. All right. Greetings.
Yeah, greetings.
All right. We work it out. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It is.
So we were talking about the works of Empress Menen.
Within the church, yeah.
Yes, within the church. So continue.
Right. So I was saying that the fact that that church that started to allow women to be a part of the church before it was just men were allowed was also a part of her legacy and her influence, to making that change. She also helped to organize a lot of women within the church to ensure that within the Orthodox Church, you have a thing called Women's Guild, right? You have one called the Brotherhood, or the same Tekel having a Brotherhood, and you have the Women's Guild, right? She was also very instrumental in ensuring that those traditions of the church is kept, you know, keeping the women together, women knowing their role within the church of ensuring that the church has whatever it needs to carry out the daily. But Ethiopia, you know, you go to church every day, the daily services. She was also instrumental in ensuring that the fasting periods, as I was saying earlier, are kept, are observed. That was very important because Haile Selassie being a Christian king and she being a Christian queen, it was very important that she led by example. And she led by example by being a devoted Ethiopian Christian queen.
So what was the significance of her leaving her crown in Jerusalem?
Right. She also, well, of course, you know, she left it as a gift to the church in Jerusalem.
Yes.
Because she went there and visited the tomb of David. I believe that was one of the significant reasons why she left her crown there. She gave it as a gift to the Church of Nativity in Jerusalem.
Wow. And I know she said, you know, she would not put, as long as Ethiopia was not free, she would not
put it on.
Forward.
Yeah. Yes.
Do we know, in terms of her health, do we know what her health condition was? Because I know she wasn't well. You know, she had to leave England back because of the climate.
Right.
Wasn't suitable for her, and she spent most of the war in Jerusalem. But do we how much details do we know about her health condition?
Well, I know she was ailing. I don't think I know exactly what she died from, but I know she was ailing. Yes.
Yes. So I'm sure we'll get into that tomorrow night when we have our academics and our researchers. But definitely, I think it's something that is an example. In terms of the Orthodox, do you see it being attractive for young people? You have a teenage daughter. I have a teenage daughter. But do you see in Jamaica, in terms of your, you know, what you see, because obviously you came up as a child within the movement, do you see a lot of young people gravitating to the church, or is the church going through the same thing as the other mansions and houses where we're not seeing as many young people gravitating to the liberty?
Very important question. Now, I see the Ethiopian church in Jamaica as a liberating force, especially for Black children, you know. Abuna Isak had a quote in his book that says, Jamaican church is going to be the yardstick by which the African mind will be measured. African-minded people will be measured. Now, remember that our youth grew up in a society in Jamaica not understanding that there's a Black God. They always grow up to this day seeing God as white. The church come and teaches that God is not white, God is Black. It's something that you have to think about. Now, with regards to young people in the church, I think having the Orthodox Church attracting young people is a combination of two things: parenting and, of course, making the church having enough programs to attract young people. Now, the Ethiopian faith is attractive in its sense because of the deep history that it carries and the Afrocentric linkage that it has with Africa. In terms of family, the church being a family institution that brings family together. At one point, the church in Jamaica got an award way back in the 80s for being the church with the most family. If you come to the faith, you'll see a lot of different families in there. So from one generation to the next, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Right now, based on the time we're living in and the distractions, I think it is struggling for young people to be attracted to the church, but it's not impossible, you know? So my saying that it takes effort of parenting, you have to lead by example as a parent. Sometimes we have our youth, even within Rastafari. I'm not gonna eat anybody, but it's what I see. And you have your youth and you train them to be Rastafari, but you allow them to do certain things, eat certain things, and you don't eat it or what certain thing. Everything adds up, you know. Children live what they see more than what you tell them to do. So if you have your youth and you know, say the faith is of a protocol, of a principle, say, okay, it is a grounding arena, it ground you, right? Where you know, say, you know, you're supposed to go to the church at least once, twice a month, no matter what, you're gonna go. Because it's a grounding era, it's a era like a rite of passage where you know you have to go and learn certain basic fundamentals of Afrocentricity, you know, Ethiopianism. So no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you must always remember that's a responsibility. That example is set by the parents first. When children or youth see them parents have the devotion, they automatically the example is there, so you follow. You know, it's just a normal thing where children follow what they see. So while the church in Jamaica and in America and the West battle with these struggling things, the Ethiopian church still boasts a lot of youths because it's a tradition from ancient time where through Ethiopia have this constant they have this constant history of always continuing their tradition and legacy. It's not easily broken, and that's why we come get a piece of it. Because if you go into Ethiopian church, you have clergy always coming. The youth, them from them parents to them grandparents, just as I tell you about Abuna, Isak, it's an ongoing legacy. It has to be maintained. So following that example within Jamaica, the church has a bright history. Once we set the example, once we set the platform, give them the freedom to express, the freedom to learn and to grow and to know their roots and to connect. Because when the church came, Abuna Isak says the mission of the church is to restore people to unity with the Almighty and then with each other. When you restore the unity with the Almighty, if you say, okay, you know, so we are from the lineage of David, we're from the lineage of Christ. When you affirm that, when you know that, it's easy for you to unite with the next one. So you have to first unite with your Creator, with the Almighty, and then with each other. The church meets that mission, then we're on our way. But that is the mission of the church. The church came to restore us back to our unity with the Almighty and each other, and to ground us, to know that we came from a strong, powerful, ancient history of which we are a part of. Not what we're rebooting and say somebody else. We are the story. We are the ones we're reading about in the Bible. We are the ones that we talk about. We talk about Moses. We are from the lineage of these great ones. That's what the church does. And when you teach youth them things from early, as Mikey General say, teach the youth about them African story, about them African glory. Teach them about their history. The youth now will have more confidence. They will have more connection to say, listen, I want to be a part of this. I want to continue the legacy of the forefathers, you know, the Moses, the Aaron, the Joshua, the Christ. You see? So with that vibration and that, you know, mission, it is possible for the youth them to know, say, yeah, there's a place for them within the faith and it will continue to grow.
Give thanks, give thanks. So there was a time when you were very, because you mentioned Mikey General, the singers and the players of instruments, and I know that I, as a singer, we want to get to the ministry, you know, your vocal ministry. But before we get there, the I is also professional within the communication field, very highly skilled. You know, how did that come about? How did you, and I see how you communicate very effectively, very clearly. How did that communication background come about?
Well, you know, it is so important to specify what I'm about to say. Can't disconnect the link them. While growing up in the Orthodox community, / Rastafari community, in Deborah's Eat off Gardentown Road, it was one summer I think I was in fourth form, could be 14 or 15. I think I was 15 years old. Right?
Where did I go to high school?
I went to St. Catherine High.
Okay.
And
yes, the same school as your Kingman, and you never know.
So I'm going to take you back to Deborah's Eat, because you asked about where my skills. I can't talk about my skills and don't tell you about the early stages of where it started. You know, the very early. So
Yes.
while living in Debrecen, and Debrecen is a place where very mystic. You know, you have to go across a river and go back like a little mountain and go back down on a flat. So I used to travel from that on that journey every morning. Come down from the yard, go on some stone, go across a river, go up a hill, go up on the road, walk from the road to Papine, that's about a mile from Debrecen. Then take a bus from Papine to Apple Tree, take a bus from Apple Tree to Spanish Town, take a taxi from Spanish Town to St. Catherine, right? So back to the question. You asked me how the communication skills come about. So one summer, as I said, I was 15 years old, living in Debrecen. A friend of mine, she used to go Woolmans. We were good friends, but we were the two oldest young people in the community. She was like a year or two older than I was. And she and I were in the community that summer. And I went around her house and we were like, say, boys, our parents, them could even afford for we go summer school this summer. And we don't want to go summer school, you know. We had talked to ourselves and I talked with each other rather. And I said to her name was Trudy. I said, Trudy, I could go outside at the road and go up Jacksonville, because you know where Deposit is really in the area where you go to Jacksonville Dub Club, where the community coming when you come off a Dub Club hill and go on the corner, cross the river over there, so it's Deposit.
Okay.
Call it Lookout. So I said to her, let's go and walk up the hill where the rich people them drive down a morning time and just stop the vehicle them. We're gonna stop them randomly and ask them for work, because we don't get for going to summer school because we mother can't afford to send them to summer school. So we're gonna look at a summer job. Right? So me and her agree and we went to the road and me and her walk up there like an exercise now. So we walk for exercise, but we really walk for stop vehicle. And we stop a lot of vehicles. You believe me? Only one vehicle stop. Right? That vehicle was a white man at the time. Well, he's still alive, Mr. Belcher. He stopped, and when he stopped, we were so flabbergasted and we said, whoa, like we said, oh, everybody is passed and they not stop on this, you know? So we say, good morning, sir. We're just trying to get a summer job in your organization. Do you have, I don't remember exactly what we said, but we asked him about something about his organization, and he said, how do you know I have an organization? At the time we didn't know this was a director of Grace Kennedy, So him said, so why are you applying so late? He was talking to both of us. So we said, well, we never really planned to look at a job. We really wanted to go to summer school. But, we tell him the long story about our parents not being able to afford it. I said, okay, go home and write a letter. And he gave us the personal manager of Grace Kennedy at the time, was Susan Heron. Write a letter, address it to Miss Heron, say, you're looking at summer job, and say why you're applying so late, whatever. Both of us did it. And then he said, meet me back here like it was Monday. He said, meet me back here like Thursday or Wednesday. And give me the letter. So by this time now, Trudy and I went home and we did the letter. He was writing at the time. It was not typing on a computer. We had to write the letter with our handwriting, right? So Trudy gave me her letter and I went out the road to meet him. When he normally come off at the hill, certain time of morning time. At the time he was, as I said, director, and he was at the port authority, downtown, down the wharf. He was in charge of the wharf, but he was a director. So gave him the letter, and about a week later, I could be less than a week, I was over in the community where we grew up, Deborah's, and I hear somebody out of the road. I call me out of the road. I say like a short white man with a person. So I realized it was him. Come on there and find out where we live, and come on and say. I went to the road and him say, we must come to Grace Kennedy the next Monday morning at 8:00. So I got my first summer job at Grace Kennedy at 15 years old. Myself and Trudy, but those days, Grace, well, they still do it. Grace don't really employ you and put you within the company, Grace. They send you out to different non-profit like Jamaica Cancer Society, University Hospital of the West Indies, Cancer Society for the Blind. So I was placed at Jamaica Cancer Society, and my friend Trudy was placed at Society for the Blind. That was when I was 15. Now, the next year from you get into on the summer program, you automatically can get in the next time because you start getting and people, so you log on the next year. So second year, I was in I think I was in fifth form. So I got in the second year. I went to UA, the hospital to work. But the third year, I was doing my CXC, and I said, boy, when I do my CXC, I work in a Grace, I go work inside a Grace. I'm not going to where they're going to send me. I'm going to ensure that I work within the company. So luckily I got my subjects when I did the CXC. I did lower 6, and then I decided that I'm going to work inside a Grace, and I was employed temporary for 9 months, and then I was employed after after 9 months full time. So I worked there like from, I think it was 1996, but I was there from 1993. 1996, and it sounds like I'm old, don't it? But because I went there as a little, like a young one, you know? So I worked there, and from 1996 to 2002 when I left to start living with my other partners. So now the communication now, I've always aspired to be a journalist, and I've always gotten the gift of writing from an early age. I was writing from I was like 6 years old, writing poetry, writing songs, you know, just writing. And so I aspired to be a journalist. I'm always making up things, slogans. I'm always just writing. I can't write. You give me anything to write, I'll just write it. So I developed that craft. I went to did my diploma in PR when I was at Grace Kennedy. They sent me to school, and eventually I went back to university and got my degree in media and communication when I was in my adult 30s. You know, you can't manage my story right now because within the time of that young 20, early 20s up until my 30s, I had a lot of trauma within my family. Like I lost 3 of my 6 brothers consecutively.
Wow.
I lost like my nephew he died of cancer, battled like for 2 years. He was like 12 and he died at 14 years old.
How did you lose your brothers? What was the cause of death?
Well, one of my brother, right, in 2001, the first brother I lost was the one who I followed. In 2001, my grandmother died in the States and I came up here for the funeral. And when I was going back down, like the day before I go back down, he was missing. Like I went down the 29th of July and he got missing the 28th, but nobody didn't call and say he was missing, you know, because they maybe thought he slept out, you know, boy, a man and things. So when I was coming from the airport now, I just got married that year. So he picked me up at the airport and we were going home, and a girl saw us and begged us a ride, and she said, they found your brother yet? I said, which brother? Because I didn't hear. He had missed the day before, you know? So she told us, and but they never find to this day.
Wow.
You know? And of course he died. You know, you hear all the different stories and all of that petty things, argument with people, and he lost his life through maliciousness. The other brother now was sick and died. That was 2001. And 2004, I lost another brother who was sick. He's a twin. And another brother now died in 2009. Gunshot wound. Yeah, so all of these things, I had started you know, like from 1990, I think it was 98, and then started back 2003. Going through the different trauma, you know, and I say you probably can't hold my trauma, but I like Empress Menen, I use the obstacles to just channel on in positivity. And I've always had the support of community. The Rastafari community, the Orthodox community, I never denied that. I never felt alone going through these struggles, you know? Because when you have burden and you go through it with people, it's like it becomes lighter. You know? Yes. So I went through these things. So I ended up even one point when my brother died in 2004, I was registered into UE, and I just stopped and had to use some of the money to help with this funeral and all of that. And just say, you know what? I'm always putting myself, like, I don't want to say last, but I do what I have to do, and then I know what I have to do. If you understand what I'm saying, I do what I have to do, then I know what I have to do. Like, you know, if you have something and you can afford to give it away, people might say, why would you give it away? But you know you can afford to give it away because you can get back something based on your resilience, based on your mindset.
Yes.
It's in that I'm talking about, in that light. So despite my obstacles, my challenges, and I use the music too, because I've been doing music since I was 16, 17. I mean, recording, tough gang.
What?
Yeah. Remember, I don't know if you know that I was a part of a lead singer for a group called Rastareens.
I heard about Rastarene. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I and I, with 3 of us growing up in Dejazmatch in the Orthodox faith, living across the river, came together and started Rastareens.
Who was in that group? Who was in that group? Who were the other members?
The other sister was Semra, Marlene Fleming, Jackie, Juliet White, and myself. We all grew up in the faith, and our parents and stuff. And we came together and formed the group Rastareens in 93. The name inspired by Tony Rebel song Nazarene Vocal. Those days we had chant Rastafari, your ass, give me and tell us if I'm early, we're exposed to them things. Even some of these artists where you see now become great Rastafari. When we were growing in Deborah's, living across the river, they would come to us for books to read about Rastafari. But we were always holding the spiritual order of the Orthodox Church at the same time. But our cultural stance was never, daunted in terms of holding Rastafari women vibration, defending, truths and rights, So even the Rastarians was an acronym for Rastafari, always spread truths and rights everywhere, naturally ensuring spirituality.
Okay.
So we were geared towards the balance of Rastafari and the balance of spirituality.
Serious.
Yeah, so it's a time for everything, a time for a churchical order and a time for a revolutionary order. That was how we did it. And still, yeah.
So the music was right there with the communication training.
Yes. Well, the communication training I didn't finish. So being in Grace Kennedy I worked in the communication department from I went there. Always responsible for the magazine, get articles, vet it, submit articles, conduct interviews with internal staff, because Grace had their own media. As a matter of fact, Grace Kennedy was maybe the first company in Jamaica in the year 2000 that got the internet. As they were training us before the year 2000 with their own internal internet called Grace Cyber Village. That trained us how to connect the different companies within the Grace group on the communication network. So I got an early exposure from that under the auspices of James Masalman, who was a director, and Marlene Walters. Though we have the same name, she was married Walters, but I'm born Walters. People thought we were related, but not. But she was my boss. She was a PR manager, and I was her assistant. Yeah.
Interesting. So tell the people, because I've recently jumped into the media space, Rise of Rastafari, independent, non-aligned media. And I don't think people understand how important communication and media is. Tell the people, please, how important is media and communication to anything, because why a multi-million-dollar company like Grace have its own internal media?
Of course.
To set their own narrative, to connect their workforce. But tell us about why is media important?
It's the most important in every organization, in every relationship, because it is a bridge. It's what bridges the gap. It's communication. Remember that media is a communication base, right? So we talk about you want to get your message across. If you have poison and you want to sell it, you have to use media, right? No, the importance of media cannot be overstated, because it is a channel that tells you, that makes you aware. Media make you tell you how to think, what to think about, when to think about it, how to think about it, right? And remember, the media landscape has evolved. Whereas back in those days we have more traditional media, TV, radio. We never have internet abroad, and moreover now we not just have internet, we have social media on the internet. So the importance is that within media is a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool that gets whatever message that you have, because the reason why we are communicating now is because we have a medium, right?
Exactly.
Right. So we could not be communicating or sharing information without the existence of media. And so, if you ask me the importance of Rastafari media, I can even delve even more.
Please,
on that,
because them say me chat too much. Too much. Tell them, please.
Rastafari media is very important. And when I talk about Rastafari, I have to give credence to Rastafari TV as well. Sister Fanaya, from a long time, when I met her 25 years ago, Sister Fanaya has always championed the need to have a Rastafari media. Why? To me, I see media like education. Like, if I'm going to burn Babylon education, I have to have my own. If we're not going to send our youths to Babylon school, we must have our own school. So I'm making the analogy to say, okay, we burn Babylon media, but we have our own media to set our own agenda. The purpose of media is to set agendas, is to set is to put things in your mind to make you do and say and act on whatever you see, because that's how we live. People, we're adapting type of people. We follow trends. We repeat things. We hear. We buy things based on what we hear, what is advertised, and all these things. For Rastafari media importance now, that over the years, Rastafari at one point you could even come on radio in Jamaica. There were times in Jamaica when you had to speak the Queen's English to be even heard on radio. And we have come to an age now where Rastafari can dip on radio and say, "Jah, Rastafari." And I speak conscious and historical Afrocentric Pan-Africanism that was never heard of. So how do we want to carry this into the future? By having your own media to make sure that we set the record straight by talking about the lion telling their own story.
Haile.
That's how important it is to have Rastafari media. Telling your own story from the mouth of the lion, not from the mouth of the hunter. You know, because for years and for centuries and to this day, I would always, when I talk about media, I lick down English big time, no disrespect, even though we all speak it. But it was English that was the main medium of colonization to this day, while we are here carrying on colonial and westernizations, because we were forced to speak a language that wasn't even indigenous to our mind, our heart, or existence. But here we are, we're carrying it on. So the vision is not even to continue along that line, but we have to start somewhere. So having your own media, we push our own agendas from the basis of roots, culture, language, traditions, and then even for not about to see the manifestation of this grow big and re-educate our youth from the miseducation. The media is what is a vehicle that will do that. Yeah, media is a vehicle that is inevitable not to have it to set the record straight. Powerful. Especially within Rastafari, we have to set the record straight. A lot of lies been told through media.
And I always have to big up Sister Fanai, because she always said not only the media, but we need our own servers. You know, we need on the infrastructure behind the media, and she always stressed that to I and I. You know, I'm big up Rastafari TV. If you haven't seen our interview with Sister Fanai, go into the live archive, and we have a very powerful reason with Sister Fanai on the platform, and we're gonna have to get her forward again, because I think more than ever, now is the time, you know, and the media, you know, I've been championing Rastafari independent non-aligned media to come together so that, you know, we can really scale our media operation. So I'm, you know, I sent the bio to in preparation for this meeting. I didn't know how extensive the training was, but once me know said that to do, you know, expect some phone call from because work has gone. Big up all of my elders and my sisters and my peers in the media. We have work to do. And I really look forward to working with the and others, because there's a whole team of Rastafari sisters who have been working in media and doing powerful work. But we'll get to that later. I have a burning question with all that you have told and I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question on this first meeting that I have on this platform. And that question is, what did you see in a young Ibi lion to make you know, say, him, I go be the king?
You should ask him, what did he see in a young Keteis Oyunde?
I have it on record. I have it on record already, you know.
Oh my goodness. What a question, you know? What a question, boy. You know, I always think everything happened for a reason, you know, because ironically, when I look back and when I look forward, I remember I met Ibi. I had seen him before at an event, but just seen him, like I'd seen him face before, right? And nothing, not like I saw him and there was an attraction. I just see him like I see somebody at a show and I see him. I see him before. I don't know him, I never talked to him. I'd seen him at an event. So when I met him, I was working at Grace Kennedy and he was working at Red Stripe. Very young, early 20s. Yes. And he was a budding, I don't want to say Bobo Shanty yet because I never have no rap, but in the power own Cape and David House, them still.
Yes.
You know, and him have a whole heap of, you know, when youth are coming a Rastafari and have a whole heap of thing on them neck, him have 4 different, make us a shell and the thing will grow up on the tree, bamboo and all them thing, and a button like Haile Selassie, him have about 20 buttons on the 2 sides and a khaki shirt. I wonder if him can find a picture there. But He was militant.
Yes, yes, yes.
So he used to ride a bike, and I was walking up the from my usual walk from Papine up to Garden to go across Deborah's, and I stopped by a Rasta virgin upon the road on the way home named Shoppy. So I saw him park his bag at Shoppy, and the man Shoppy had some deep conversation about boy him ride all the way to come get the chew stick, and Shoppy now no chew stick for game because them tell him I burn toothpaste. I don't even know if he used to use soap. but them days I burn toothpaste. And him now I use a toothpaste, so him come check Shoppy now for the chew stick. By this time now, me a pass and him ask for the chew stick, and it's my nature, I'm always giving assistance. My nature. I don't, as I said, I'd seen him, but I never know him. So I see him, I ask the chew stick. I say, you know what? I stop by, I say, I have some chew sticks in my backyard, I can make you get some, right? So I told him that, and I told him to come for it like the next day or whichever day. I told him to come for it, but I said to him, if you come and I'm not there, I'm going to leave it with my brother. I'm going to pick it and tie it up and left it with my brother, so you can't pick it from my brother. Just genuinely, I would help anybody with that. So he came, but he didn't come the next day. He came the other day after the day before, the day I saw him, like 2 days after.
Yes.
And he got the chew stick, and I wasn't there, but he got it from my brother. And I thought that was it. I never look back for him for come say no thanks or nothing, and I don't hear him, I see him. But then, like a couple of days after I see him come, like he insists to see me to tell me personal thanks. Yes. So when he came now, he must say thanks, but like he must stay, what I say, like he must anchor. That's what I say in Jamaica. I mean, he said thanks already, you know what I mean? What else you want? So in the like he must kill time, I'm gonna say, well, it's okay, if you want more or something, you can come and they grow wild in the backyard. You understand? So him come and him say, suppose I want to be your friend. I say, what kind of friend? I was very firm, with him and thing, and he was very determined. And long story short, we started talking, and we have a lot of reasoning. We were reasoning for like months of talking, and then I started finding out that his godfather was my mother's first boyfriend. I found I remember one day I went to work, and I said, let me write down 10 things that me and him have in common. And I write down 27 things.
Wow.
27 things. And him started telling me, say, he went to the same school. I say, you went to the same school like me within the same time. He told me about a girl who I used to meet up in Papine, who me and her was the only one who knew traveling from that far to St. Catherine. And I said, but I never see you. But Jai is always on time and on target, because I know if I had seen Ibi during my school years, we would never have a relationship. I was so adamant growing up with 6 brothers, a sister with a mother alone. I was adamant, me and not with my boyfriend business. Me just never tolerate it. You know what I mean? My mind wasn't there. Yes, I was always have a focus. My mother got through so much. Me no want let her down. That was my focus. Yes. So I know that it was divine that I never met him while going to school. It wouldn't be the same. So I give thanks for the journey. Yeah, I give thanks for, So, and he was always militant, and humble. And I even test him, like, I didn't tell him this until after, like, I remember when I invited him to the church, right? Because he used to work on Sunday. Yeah. Working at Red Stripe, he used to work at Sunday sometimes, overtime. And I remember, I said, all right, I was the youth association president for the church's youth club. We have a youth association, right? So I was the president. And every year we have this annual walkathon that we plan for the church to raise funds for the cathedral, right? So we were planning the walkathon, and normally when we have the walkathon, we walk like from the whole of Africa, like from Maxfield Avenue with the church there to Constant Spring, or Constant Spring going up to pass through Africa and go up to Constant Spring. We walk and ask for money and stuff. So I invited him to church, and he came, and then the walkathon now was near, so I invited him to the walkathon, but I did not go. I deliberately did not go. So I wanted to see if he was coming to the walkathon because of me, or he just, want to come to support. But even though I did not go, he ended up going without me, and I really did like that.
Nice.
Because I remember when he went to the walkathon, some of the youth, the executives say, a youth come on the walkathon, he was so helpful and initiative, and they were talking about him. But them never know, sir, I mean, invite him. Because then, you know, like you're within Rastafari and you're Bobo Shanti, Naya Bingi, and you grew up with some youth and them are free you, but them see you bring a stranger, they might feel say you this, them are, you know the way they? So them never know until after say, wait, she invited by the thing and then him come and, you know the way? So it was like that. You know, because we grew up with some youth at the church, the Rastafari youth, Orthodox youth and thing. So yeah.
I love those stories because we have to encourage our young people to partner in terms of marriage. You know what I mean?
Very important.
The institution of marriage is very crucial because you cannot build a nation without strong families.
That's it there.
You know what I mean? So this is why I like to glorify the love stories in Rastafari, because a lot of time we don't talk about these things, you know, we don't pay them attention. So how will like young people aspire to something that you don't talk about, that you don't highlight? You know what I mean? So when I see people like that, anyone who is happily married, I want to get the love story, so that the people around the world can aspire and we can eradicate this kind of gallus mentality that a lot of our brethren have fallen into because of the singers and the players of instruments. You know what I mean? The indiscipline. And I said you can fight me in the comments if you want to fight me. But before
let me endorse that, was crazy, because you see, I think a lot of people have a wrong perception of Rastafari family.
Yes.
I think even though my father was not in my life, basically, right? Before he came about, he was a family man. You know what I mean? He was there. I don't know what happened when he came, but I grew up and I saw a lot of exemplary Rastafari brethren taking care of them family. As I said to you, within the faith in 1980s, the Orthodox Church got an award from the government of Jamaica for having the church with the most families. So I'm used to seeing family together, Afrocentric, Rastafari. But sometimes because the artists are more visible within the marketplace or within the media landscape, people judge Rastafari from the artist perspective, which is not fair. What about the Rastaman where I grew them youth in the country, in the mountain for years? Rastaman to me one of the best example of family life. Rastafari fathers, you know, full serious family. I'm not gonna say some of them don't neglect them children and all of that, but at the same time, I don't think it is fair for people to judge Rastafari and family life through the eyes of the entertainers.
Yes.
Who get carried away when they go on tour, who get egotistic and forget them, so them have a responsibility. Jamaica, to them nobody not see them and them have integrity, them go abroad and have multiple relationships and all these things. They should not be the yardstick by which Rastafari families are measured. You know, I think Rastafari family, I have an example of a Rastafari family with family. The I and I, Shakula and his Empress, and not once, even
big up Warrior King,
Warrior King.
Yeah, Wally for ones.
Yeah, we could have called Wally for name.
We want to glorify these examples, you know what I mean?
Yeah. People they're not talking about the exemplary one, but they're there. You know, I see them. I didn't just come. I'm an example of because of what I saw.
Yes.
My relationship is a pattern of what I saw exemplified around me within the community.
Beautiful.
I grew up in Derry, as I said. I saw Sister Johannes with Brother Sam as our Orthodox family. I saw Sister Ayone with Brother Gabriel, you know, as a little youth, and I said, yo, I want that too, you know. But the girlish thing, as I think, is a matter of ignorance why our brothers do these things, because they themselves don't even understand that the more you have relationship like that where really push the family values, and the more we give rise to immoralities, what we could have burn out these days. Is it the rise? Or we are part of the problem where we see today where the society is not even respecting the family unit of male and female. We can't just burn it, but we have to take responsibility. The more the family break up, the more the family of male and female don't come together, the more them think they're right, because it's giving like, say, okay, man and woman work again, husband and wife, a joke thing. The more you divorce, the more it give rise. As I mentioned, divorce, even divorcing, right? Other times we analyze why people divorce. It never had to be divorce, just reasoning. Reasoning is the basis, and understanding is the basis of a relationship. You are a king, I'm a queen. Every king when on earth is come to a queen. Every king, you know. Remember, say a woman bring forth life in the earth. Next to the creator is woman is the next creator, co-creator, right?
Yes, sir.
And so, if we try to bridge the gap with our king man, to say, all right, a king man. When I say this, some woman not really agree, but I'm gonna say it to the eye on your platform. Or I look at relationship, a king, a empress or a queen must see our king man as our king man, as her husband, I mean, as her brother, as her father, as her little baby, like where it's up breast, right? As her son. So that's 5 role play a man play in the life of a queen, and the vice versa for the queen, right? She play a role as a mother, a sister, a little daughter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, if we have in a relationship with a male and female, and say our king man in our life, I behave like him, our father. But if it meet him on the level of how would I meet our father, he might be domineering, you know, or when you life, you know, meet him on a very level, like can't talk to you and create a conflict. You meet him with that, be with your father and say, Daddy, you know, it's a matter of time. You just have a blow off, right? You have a brother who gullible or, you know what I mean? You know, brothers behave with sisters and stuff.
Yes,
You meet your husband. May I talk about the husband or the king man? I play the role, you know.
Yeah, man,
We as empress must meet them at that level, on the level of overstanding. When him behaving like a little boy, of course, it's a boy and a man. There's a boy, there's a baby in a man. All of these 5 are within a man. When we meet the item on each of those levels, we overstand better, you know, and we build a better relationship. So it become unbearable when a man behave like a boy, or behave like a baby, or behave like your father, or behave like your brother. You don't expect him to just behave like your husband or your king man, because he's 5. You see? So it's a matter of meeting on that level or understanding it, so we can know, say, teeth and tongue must meet it in the same place. Teeth in the mouth, tongue in the mouth, but it mustn't get to your heart. It mustn't be bitter to the point of separation. Sometimes I see relationship go bad, and I see where it could be saved. Some simple things, lack of reasoning, lack of understanding.
We need mediation within the liberty, ones who can mediate.
Yes, that too.
And reason and bring some of these disputes in a productive way, you know.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on your musical journey. You know, you started with the Rastarine. When did you go solo? What is your vision for your musical pathway? I saw some clips. You know, I have the drop, so we'll be running that. You know what I mean, for the people here. The voice was so beautiful, you know, and you had a little wailing style, like a little Ethiopian, you know, vibration in your style. I'll play it at the end of the episode, so don't sign off quickly. I'm gonna play the drops again, but talk to us about the music and what you would like to see with your musical journey.
Well, my musical journey has been very special to me, because I take word very seriously. I still hold the word as God.
Okay.
Even though you say, oh, in the beginning was the word and the word was, I still think it is still is God. So I use word very, very sacredly, you know. I hold it in high esteem. So from early age, I mean, as early back as I can remember, like 12-year-old, I started singing in high school, like cultural music. I was very much inspired by Tony Rebel from an early age. As I said, I got the name Rastarine from his song Nazarene Vow. And he used to sing in high school, like at events, like Heroes event at the school. And I remember singing Garnet's song when I was in 5th form, 6th form, and all those things. So I've always been doing music, even as a teenager, within community, you know, level. And growing up in the church, singing on the choir and all of that. But then, while doing all of this, during my early teens and stuff, in 1993, we were walking up Maxwell Avenue from the Orthodox Church one Sunday, as well as we normally do. We walk from church halfway through and take the bus to Papine and thing. And I said to my friends, we were walking, Semra and Jackie, you know, we could form a group, you know, and we never have the name yet, and sing, because I think we have a message. I was writing a lot of music from early, writing freedom fighter before even Mandela was out of prison. I was singing about Mandela free and all these things in song, freedom fighter. And I remember Sister Rita, as you know, she's a member of the Orthodox faith as well, Sister Rita Marley. So I think I was in lower six, or it could be fifth form or lower six, could be fifth form. And I remember when she realized that we were coming together as a group, she took us to Tough Gong when I was 16 years old, and she recorded the Freedom Fighter song.
Do you remember that song?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little piece of it? Just a little touch?
Yeah, man. It says, when I turn on the TV, when I listen to the radio, I see it in the movies, I see it on the video. My people are dying, my people are in bondage. They hardly have any rights. People want to take away their lives. Every day the situation gets worse, but I say, listen to my next verse. I am a freedom fighter, and no one can stop that right now. I'm a little black sister, and I will never ever bow. These are the words of my mouth, and I want to spread it all about. I want to tell you, I want to warn you, I want to show you freedom, 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 freedom. Freedom is a must.
Hot. Yeah, man. Pause.
Yeah, so yeah.
Sister Nana Rita say you have to record that right away.
Yeah, so we did record it.
King. Yes.
Yeah, we did record it, but it wasn't released, I think. I don't think it was released.
Okay. And then what was the next step after that now?
Right. So we did that song recording early, like maybe 93, 94. And then the Orthodox Church had a benefit concert called For the Benefit of We in the Park. Those days it was with, I think, who was on it? I think Luciano was on it, Jamaican, Everton Blender, some names back in those days. Natty Remo, Sweet C. There's a big, I would have to, okay, they were quite a big, even Beanie Man was on it. Beanie Man was on that show, right? It was held in Maxfield Park for the benefit of we. It's called Maxidox, which is Maxfield Park and Orthodox Promotion Presents for the benefit of we in the park. It was to raise funds for the Maxfield Park Children's Home and the Orthodox Church, right? So we performed. That was our first performance as Rastarenes, a big performance, as I said, because we were performing on local community stuff before. So we had that in, I think, 1995, and then thereafter we performed, like even Grace used to have some lunch hour series at the office downtown, and they used to invite us and pay us to perform on the lunch hour series downtown. We used to go down to Little Pub in Ocherios as Rastarenes and perform down there, perform for the Martins Award, singing in Coast Tikele, Africa, the South African anthem in Swahili. And we sing in American Keteis and English. Those days we were one of the first set of daughters who were singing in Amharic.
Okay.
Yeah, we were one of the first to go to Nyabingi as well. If I can correct me, but I think he said we were. We went to Nyabingi in 1997 and performed when Bongo, Rocky, and Baby I were going to Ethiopia. We were the artists who went there and sent them off in music and thing. Okay. So we were doing,
No, I said, okay, no, this is a history.
We were doing a lot. We have a folder big like this in music. I'm Rastarenes, let me tell you. We did Western Consciousness. We did Step Me Come From. We did Rebel Salute twice. We did I Step Me Come From. We have done Fire 2000. We work with Fab Five, Blaze Band. We work with a lot of, as a matter of fact, we used to even do backup at one point for like Yasu Safari, Yami Bolo, and a small stint with Ras Michael. Because growing up and, we had the music and Rasta vibration, and we always dress royal and, Empress Menen style and regal. Some of the virgin them always want to do some harmony for them, So we used to do that, but we always had our group differently. Yes. And the group went through some different changes because we started out with 3, then we had 4. Then at one point we joined with another female group with 2 called the Eyes. So at one point we had 6 of us, and then the Eyes leave and we go back to 3. So it always go back to the 3 of I and I. We did shows island wide, and in 2000, I think it was 2004, migration, because the other 2 sisters migrated. I had to go solo, because I'm always passionate about the music, and so boy, I don't want, because them leave me not continue this. And even Ibu Cooper was one of those who produced us in the early days. And he produced my
Legendary
first
Ibo
single,
Cooper, the legend.
The Legend.
Big up yourself, yeah, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, well,
yeah.
ancestor now, but legendary.
Yes, we did even 1998. Before I forget, 1998 we did a song for Reggae Boys because when the Reggae Boys were going to France, 1998, we sing over, the higher you build your barrier, the taller I become. You know that song? Something inside so strong. Oh, you know that song, right?
I don't know
We
that
did over
song.
that song. It's a people. Something inside so strong. Is it People Bright? No. I don't remember the singer, but we sing over that song, say Reggae Boys Moving On. For
Okay.
1998, God rest his soul in peace, Robert Mystic produced that song for us on the Joella label called Reggae Boys Moving On that we did specifically for the 1998 Road to France with Reggae Boys. I think that was our second recording after the Freedom Fighter. Um, we did. I think those days we did more shows than recording. I did more recording after we became solo than when we were in a group because we were doing more focus on performance and we were managed by Rashes International, which includes Sister Isis. At the time, it was three of them: Isis, Denise Isis Miller, Marcia Matthews, and Damali Robertson. We were managed by them, and then we were in the camp with Everton Blender, Richie Spice. So we did a number of shows. Like when Richie Spice was on a show, we would work with him like Cactus. We worked show with him at All Spice 2000. We did a lot of shows. I can tell you, we did a lot of shows as Rasta. I mean, there were times when we were the only females on the show. We were growing in the industry as daughters of roots and culture because not only were we singing cultural and conscious music, but we were representing culturally too, and things. So I
Beautiful.
went solo in 2004 and released my first solo single called In the Name of Life through Ibu Cooper. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What a pedigree. And,
Yeah.
and, and what has been your most successful song to date? You think that you get the best response when you sing that song there?
Well, I think that is one, but there's a song that we sing in America called Artillery. Artillery.
You have to give away a piece of it, man.
When we sing that song, it's like heaven come down. I remember one year we did a show in Christian. I never forget this one. None of us ever forget this experience. Being Orthodox members, right? We went to the show. ISIS was managing us. We went to the show. We drove in
Who
from
was
Kingston to
managing you? Who was managing you?
I then it's Isis Miller because I think the other sisters that migrated too. The other two sisters who were part of Rassis
Yes.
migrated. So she was in Jamaica, so she was managing
And stay tuned. I'm working on getting Sister Isis on the platform, so stay tuned. We'll work it out. But continue.
Right. So we went into Christiana on that show, a show that had culture, nothing that Sizzla was just rising. Sizzla, Anthony B, we work show with all of those artists, right? So we went to the show, we were booked for the show, and somehow, I don't know, I think Sizzla had to work because we had another show to leave. So he worked before us. Normally we would work before him, and he was a budding, rising star. But when Sizzla them days, the Sizzla burn everything. Burn God, burn this, those days, right? The Sizzla from them burning time.
Yeah, man.
Burning. So we were there backstage and we prepared to go on, and one of the sisters said, boy, we don't know if we will perform tonight because I burn up the whole stage, I burn everything and we don't think we don't feel good. I go on with them with a burning thing there and thing. And Sister Isis say, no, that's why you forgot. That's why I only forgot. And we went on that stage that night and never forget, we were all in full white and red, gold, and green thing. And we did a set. It was so spiritually and therapeutically, filled. There was a man who was visiting from Wisconsin. I never forget. I didn't even know that state in America at that time. He was crying when he came after the performance. Like, he came to Jamaica for some hurt, but you see why he came. It was even for this moment to be at this show to hear us, because the show was so powerfully uplifting and spiritually uplifting because, as I said, we sing in Amharic and we sing in Ge'ez. The song I'm talking about is Attilale. It has even Kibirla Amlak in it. And when we sing it, people always have a vibe with it. It just have an energy, deep. So that man was, I never forget, out of everybody who was there, if we said if he was the one we were there for, and we were the one he was there for, it worked for that one soul. He was in tears. You
Can you
know?
give us like a piece of the Amharic?
All right. It says, all right, okay. Kibirla amla, Kibirla amla, Kibirla amla, Kibirla amla, Kibirla amla. Matilele, atilele, tilale, atilale, atilele, tilele, tilalele, atilele, tilale, atilale, atilele, Ethiopia, the land of our forefathers, tilale, Ethiopia, the home of the Ethiopian, tilale, Ethiopia, the blessed land of Jah, Ethiopia is all that lasts. Kibirla. So it's a song now. When we used to sing it as Rastarenes, because it's an answer. I sing lead and them answer at each line, tilalele, and the word tilalele means purification. So we always say we are singing to purify the vibration, purify the energy, purify the ear, purify the mind, purify the soul. It was always a spiritual vibration with this song. You know, people always have a thing to say about this song. Anytime, no matter how long, and this is a long time, I have over 20 years of song old. It's that old, you know. So
Mighty, mighty,
that
mighty.
vibe.
So where do you see yourself? Hold on there. The king say, yes, I her voice plus the true stick. Yeah, man. The king there. The king there. Big up yourself. The honorable Keteis Haile Michael. Powerful brethren. If you haven't seen his reasonings on the platform, we have him twice. Go and check those out. Carbon, the hard one. Get ready for your interview too, Carbon. Big up yourself, cause he's the next one. More on hear the I love story too. Cause Carbon is the next young artist. But I love how he move right now in creation. He says shed some more light on the true stick far eye. You know,
Well, we should have all use true stick right now. It better, it's more healthier than the fluoride toothpaste the people are use. You know that, right?
It's true.
Yeah. It's natural toothpaste. Well,
Yeah.
natural gum. I call toothpaste toothpaste. I don't know why they call it toothpaste.
Yes.
Because I make my own teeth paste. You know? So yeah, the true stick is a natural. As I said, he wasn't using them things in them days and burning things. So he never getting true stick and he got it from me.
Yes. I never look back again.
I tell you.
Them all become a priest too. But this is the Most High use people differently in your life. You know what I mean? He bring you into contact with people. So I was like a gateway for him to the church. You know what I mean? And really, as I say, it's a powerful story. And these are the stories, family, that we want to glorify here on the Lion Voice Network. Because there's a little girl watching in Zimbabwe, and it give her hope to know, say, our king man I go come that way that she can hold out and she don't have to up and down on the road or follow the popular culture. You know, having our own media means that we control our narrative, we tell our own story, we decide what's cool over here. You know what I mean? And once we hold that standard, you're going to see it blossom and bloom around the earth, you know what I mean, as we grow. So I really want to thank the eye. We've gone over 2 hours. Yeah, man, the time fly when we are reason. And, you know, I've seen Sister Keteis years, may I see her on the battlefield, Veggie Meals and Wheels, but I've never had a chance to ground like this. And this is why I love this platform, because I don't do interviews, I reason. You know what I mean? We reason with the family. You know what I mean? We're building a community. While we're rising, we're building together, and I really give thanks. And the other reason that I built this channel is for artists like yourself who are dealing with culture. So when you're ready to launch your projects, you will have a place where you can come now, and the audience is already here that is looking for that type of cultural music. You know what I mean? So we don't have to worry about going and trying to fit into their mainstream that don't care about culture and they want mix up and blender. And this is why ARC, the Association of Rastafari Creatives, and we have a meeting on Sunday. I'm going to invite the eye to the meeting as well. You know, this is why we have a mission to gather the independent non-aligned media, because we should be able to do a press run as an artist just in Rastafari media and reach 1 million people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just by going through Rastafari media. We need to set up that infrastructure so that our artists, if we see a young artist that we like, what I must say, as media, we're supposed to be able to set the platform so that they can get highlight more than somebody who talk about some slackness where not consistent, but then getting highlight because that's what the mainstream is feeding. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I take this very serious. I've been called by Kadamari Haile Selassie the first and this time for this work, and I really thank the eye for taking your time, your beautiful family, sharing your beautiful family with us here on the Lion Voice Network, and all that you do. Let us know as before we seal where you want to take the music. You know what your vision ideally is. We didn't talk about Veggie Meals on Wheels. The next interview I do, though, I want the I and Ibi Lion together for the next one. I want the family reasoning for the next one. But tell us about, you know, where you want the music to go, and then quickly just tell us about Veggie Meals on Wheels, and then we'll seal up. This is part one. We have to bring this history. It's too much to talk about.
I'm telling you, you can't do one episode because
Yeah.
I leave out a lot, but let's start. I asked about the music. From day one, when we ventured into music as a group, Rastarians, the mission was always to lift the consciousness. Our tagline was Rastarians, lifting you to a higher level of consciousness. As I earlier spoke to you, I said that I take word very seriously. The words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart must not just be acceptable, but it must be positively aligned on the mind, because everything comes to mind before it becomes manifest. So we have to make sure so we're mindful of the thoughts. I envision, and the mission in music is to really spread consciousness to a level where people can see it like a trend. They must say it's okay to be conscious. It's okay to be righteousness. It's okay to speak truth. It's okay, to do the things that are right without feeling like, stigmatized and all those things. Not because the majority of the world is not going there. As I said, we're directing our narrative. We're narrating our own, telling our own story. So originally, we are children of light. Man and woman innately are not evil, We are children of light. So we are here to really shine light. So my mission in music is really to shine the light so that the light within you can come out as well, because it's a track, the vibration there. So I've always been on that mission, and I do it through music and through word. Anything to do with the words, spoken word, written word, empowering word, music. But because music is a channel that have a different energy, like the Psalm of David, and when David chanted, it reached the kings and all those things. Music have an energy where heal and bless and push out the divine love within, out of you and into others. So my mission, as I said, in music is to really lift the consciousness. I would say it in that way. To heal people,
Give thanks. And tell us, how did Veggie Meals on Wheels come about?
Well, again, we have to go back to Grace Kennedy days. I became a vegetarian when I was 17. And working at Grace after that, maybe at 18 or so, I couldn't find no vegetarian food to eat. They have canteen at the company them, and they don't even have a vegetarian option, not even like a mixed veg. Fish, chicken, beef, everything. But no, no vegetarian. So while I worked there, even worked at Red Stripe, I remember I used to go to my people at work and say, you know what, I wasn't the only person in the company who had a concern of having some vegan options or vegetarian options, because whenever nobody were vegan them days, right? So those days I used to make like veggie patties and bring it to work, like a small amount, like maybe a 6 or so, and I would like bring for people who wanted the option to eat vegetarian, just veggie patties, and he would make the juice. And he would bring the juice to Red Shop, and sometimes he'd give me some juice to bring at Grace. So we started doing that within the company that worked to help us for our own eating, for us to have food for ourselves, as well as to help people who had very few people wanted to eat vegetarian as well back in those days at Grace. So that I canteen, but it was meat. Now, while we were doing this now, being a part of the Orthodox faith, we had some brothers and sisters of the faith who Rastafari too, who say, boy, they had similar problems. They were working at Air Jamaica and they have the same problem for them company. So we came one day in a common interest and said, boy, we should have started a restaurant. So in 2002, I don't know if you know this history, but that's 2002, we started Liberty Vegetarian Restaurant. You ever heard about Liberty?
I remember Liberty.
Yes. It was a group of Orthodox sisters, including a family, as a matter of fact, me and Ibi as one, Chino and his wife, that's Haile Mariam Chin, Debbie and Apti and Sahai, Boogie, right? We came together, it was about 5 or 6 of us, and started Liberty as equal partners, and was really a big thing when it started. And we started eating from where we were doing, because we wanted vegetarian food. Them used to work at Air Jamaica and all of that. So after a while, I resigned from Grace.
Those who don't know, where was Liberty located?
Liberty was located almost across from Jamaica College off Old Hope Road, specifically 166.5 Old Hope Road, coming down from Papine on the left hand side, right there, almost across from Jamaica College. So we had that property leased and started Liberty, put it in our design and everything, and it was a good vibration. Energy was good and everything. But then in 2000, we started 2002, 2005, I think, the place went up for sale because it was owned by the Carbys, and there are different properties all over Jamaica and they were selling it, but we couldn't buy it at the time. No way, it was like 20-something million at the time. I remember we were young, we just started a business and it was a big leak, so we started looking for another place, and we got another place in 1 year. 1 year later, in New Kingston, at Jimmy Cliff's place in Ainen Road. The Liberty moved there. And sometimes when you start something and it never go as you plan, it kind of demotivate you. So being in New Kingston now, other things happen within the partnership. Not enmity or anything, but people got discouraged, and eventually Jimmy Cliff said he wanted the place back. So it's like we felt like we jump out a frying pan and jump in a fire. We left a place where we have to give up, and the next place now, and interest was lost. So we had to lock down the business, liquidate, pay off the staff, and then me leaving my job, because I had left my job, So I left my job in 2002, which is Grace Kennedy, and I said, boy, I'm going to start Liberty, and I'm going to do my music, because I was so passionate and revolutionary, Rasta vibration. Marcus Garvey, because we start Liberty for Marcus Garvey's birthday. Yeah. August 17, 2002, we start Liberty. Okay. We said, listen, I'm going to start, I'm going to leave Grace. They said, them try to stop me from leave Grace, he would even understand. When I gave him my resignation, my boss called me in a meeting and said, listen, you can't leave, you're too young. We're going to start business, you're too young. I left when I was 25.
Okay.
And I 24, early 20s, mid 20s. And so I was resolute. I'm going to do my own thing, give us self-sufficiency, and I was very adamant with that. So when Liberty never worked out now and we locked down the second time now, I said, Ibi said, I'm not going to work at Grace, Because even though, I was told when I was leaving, so when you're ready, you can come back and you're young and I was promising in the company, and I used to be on focus groups helping them to, get names for products and stuff. So I thought about it, I'm not lying, but then I started thinking deeply rastical again. Rastafari said, no, Marcus Garvey, I'm going to push on through. So now, that's when I said, sit down and I said, listen, we have to start over, we're going to start over. So we started now, so we're going to do Veggie Meals on wheels, go by the roadside, and take the ITEL food to the street side, to the people who, we think they don't have to eat vegetarian, because they had a mentality in Jamaica like only Rasta people eat vegetarian food and only it's expensive and you can't afford it. So we brought it by the street side in Crossroads to say it should be for everybody. Everyone has a right to eat healthy. Everyone have a right to eat healthy. So it shouldn't just be stigmatized as just Rasta food and just look at items, stew and look at callaloo. So that's how Veggie Meals and we was born, because we refused to go back to 95 and we said we're going to push on through, start over again and try again.
Resilience. And
Yeah.
and for those who are in Jamaica, how can they support Veggie Meals and Wheels? Where are you based now, and how can they support the eye?
Well, as it says, Veggie Meals on Wheels, our vision from day one was not to make it be a stationary place. The vision is to really have, for the future, is to have like some trucks on the road with the same Veggie Meals on Wheels logo looking just like that in
Yes.
different parishes, like franchising them out, like they have the different fast food in the different parishes, different countries, and people can say, oh, them buy a Veggie Meals on Wheels franchise, have it in a Mobile, have one in a Negril, have one in a St. Thomas, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Taking
Like a food
vegetarian
truck,
ital food.
different food trucks.
Yeah, taking ital food to the people, because the root of our problem is food. And until we can understand that, we realize we're not said nothing, because it was a problem from the beginning and it is a problem now. And it's also the solution. So good food equal good mood.
That is true. That is true.
You know?
So
So,
how can our Lion Pride? I want to share a vision. Just be patient with I. Right now, the Lion Pride, we have 32,000 subscribers in the Lion Pride. My vision is that when I bring a guest on this platform, that at least 10,000 of them people that spend $10 with that guest. You see my
that's a good vision, yeah. It should be like that.
That is how I want to cultivate, so that when a guest come, we give them a capital boost. So I'm appealing to my Lion Voice family that when I ask this royal queen how we can put money in our pocket, that some of the item will answer the call and support whatever product or service that she shares with I. So how can the Lion Pride circulate the Rastafari Pan-African dollar with the I and put some money in the I pocket? Please inform I.
All right, so we still operate through our our main Veggie Meals and Wheels in Crossroad, Riga Plaza, but we are present on the campus of Caribbean Maritime University, one next to the airport, where we do vegan food out there on a daily basis, Mondays to Fridays.
Okay.
Right? We also make products. Now, the making of products is something that we want to put more out there to tell people that, you know what? Support Veggie Meals and Wheels products that we're making, so that you can actually know that you're getting good plant-made. I'm not going to use the word plant-based. Plant-made products that is healthy for the goodie. So we make our own seasoning. We have a seasoning called Whole Heap. We make it. I would love eventually for it to be exported, We make our vegan nuggets from sweet potato, from scratch. No vitamins, no soy. Right? Those things. That the level where we want to take Veggie Meals and Wheels is into going to natural food production. We know say we make it, so we know say it's real. In a GMO modified and all those things. Basically. And we do events. We do we do a lot of these events when we have like Rebel Salute. We do those events catering. We do those things that the people normally support us for those events. Protege show, Lost in Time. So it's really taking the vegetarian or the ital food to the people as we are as a vehicle. But eventually I would love for people to buy into the franchise and have their own. So the way you can multiply the ital food liberty all over. So you plant a seed, so you just want it multiply. You over?
No, it's serious. It's serious.
Yeah, that's what the I say.
So in terms of I Jamaica family, and in the last 28 days, Jamaica has risen to our #1 demographic. It fluctuates, but we have a strong audience in Jamaica. asking all the Lion Pride family in Jamaica, make sure you support Veggie Meals on Wheels. Where can the ones them find their products? And
Okay, well, so
do you have any, and 1 second, do you have any digital platforms where ones who are overseas may be able to also spend with the eye, or maybe download some music, pay you some, give us all of the ways that people can put money in your pocket, please.
all right. So we have we have our Facebook and our Instagram page, Veggie Meals on Wheels. And honestly, I think we need to get more on the e-commerce, as you're asking where online we could buy the food. Because at one point I was speaking to Sister Fanai about Veggie Meals on Wheels being in the platform to do what you're asking. And now talking to you now, you have that platform as well. So it's a work in progress to really get our products within these platforms to get
Yes,
more, Pan-African money among our, and share the money with each other. And the product as well, because we want the people to have the products as well.
that is it.
And the option of healthier options.
Yes, and I want the eye to know that this is the I platform. This is your family platform.
Yeah,
So you see, we're running the City Samosa commercial. Uh,
good.
we are here to serve our community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because no one is coming to save us. That is one thing I am sure about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's no one coming to save us, and unless we come together and we circulate our dollar and we love ourselves enough to trust and spend with each other, then we're not going anywhere. So I really give thanks. I want to big up Ras with the $2 attribution to the platform. Big up yourself. And Ras is one of our firemen. We're regular on the platform, and here what Ras said. I need an Omega like her in my life. You know what I mean? This is a fireman. I don't even know say him have that tender side where him have reflect them way. Ras up a beer fire and burn, but it just show you that the balance, you know what I mean? All of us as king man need that balance. It's so crucial, you know what I mean, for I and I. And I tell brethren that the only way you can really reach that pinnacle is by having that helpmate with you. You know what I mean? The queen is gonna make everything just accelerate that you're doing if you choose right. You know what I mean? If you choose the right queen, and you're not using that carnal mind to choose a queen. So big up yourself, Ras. Holy Trinity greetings, Ronoko, Lawrence. Big up yourself. All the Lion Pride family. I'm going to allow our guests to say final words. We've gone way over 2 hours now, but this is the
Gosh.
reason when I connect with family, them, you know what I mean, it's like, a family reunion, like Garnet Silk say, Zion is really like a
Yeah.
family reunion for true. So give us some final words, some words of encouragement. Please include, before we go into Empress Menen panel tomorrow and all of the glory of Empress Menen Earthstrong, just give us some final words to the Rastafari woman, to the Orthodox woman around the world, the Pan-African women around the world. Some inspiration and some things that I would like and I to think about, and then let us know where we can find the music.
I just. All right. So, I often think that, well, I know that the woman, as you said earlier, is a balance for the kingdom. And I think with women knowing their power, as Empress Menen knew her power, walking side by side with His Majesty in grace, in humility, she helped him in every victory that he did, that he did, everything that he was victorious about within managing Ethiopia or carrying out his work within as a statesman, as an emperor. He was never alone. She gave him that confidence. And I think when we talk about Empress Menen as Empress and blessed her love and use of her name, it must be in that same light of humility. one of the most important aspects of a queen is humility. And Empress Menen exemplify that. Even sometimes you might feel okay, or you have more, whatever. You must always be graceful. Empress is the perfect balance for a king. It was from beginning when just say it wasn't good for the man to be alone is a reason. Because that woman is what makes that man whole. So I want to leave the Empress them with this to know that honoring Empress Menen is honoring her in liberty, not just in adornment. She was a woman of grace, a woman of spiritual, very spiritual in her demeanor, in her character. When she went through pain, she was graceful about it. When she went through she was resilient in every move, in every experience. So, as daughters within Rastafari, within the Orthodox faith, these are examples that help us to make our kingman strong. So, even when a man is weak, we have to be the strength. You can't weaken a man when he's weak. We have to know, say, okay, if a man don't like that, don't do that. Even if it take a sacrifice. You say, okay, but you want him to be okay. You want him to be at peace. You want him to have free content of mind. So I really believe that we have to, as Christians, we have to get to that level where we overstand our role as empress. Empress of Zion and daughters of Africa, and go back to the original way of how Africa had women in higher respect to the kingman. Respect them in every aspect and overstanding them at the same time. Yeah.
Give thanks. And Ibi Lion say you can find the products at also Dread Country Farmhouse, also Kingston Night Market.
Yes.
So definitely support Veggie Meals and Wheels, one of the institutions in the Rastafari community in Jamaica. We need to spend money. The same pressure that we're asking for the Lion Pride to put on Princess Sitota, City Samosa by buying out all of the inventory. We want to put some pressure on Veggie Meals and Wheels. Buy out everything when you see them on road. Just buy everything, even if you're not hungry, buy it and carry it home and put it in your fridge. Because we need to support our institution. Why? So that they can hire people, they can scale their business, we can provide employment for our young people. This is the only way that we are going to be able to build the future that we want to see for ourselves as Rastafari, is by having that. And I like how everybody are coming with the contribution. $4 from Akim, big up yourself. Lidge Tafari, big up yourself. St. Lucia Massive with the $1.99. And again, I want this platform to be not just with reasoning, but an economic opportunity. So any guests that come on the platform, as I say, my vision, 30,000, we're at 32,000 right now and rising. Even if 5,000 people spend $10 with a guest, that's a great strength that guest is leaving with, you know what I mean? And it don't take off nothing from you. And it's once as strong that we're doing live interviews. So if you put in your budget that $10 and know, say, I'm going to circulate this into the Rastafari community, now we are doing something. Now we're making history in a major way. So I want to train this audience that we got to leverage the power, because none of us now have no big money, but we all have that small money that we can put together to make big money. And that is collective security for surety. Big up all of the Lion Pride. Big up Selassie our first Lion Pride on Patreon from Australia. Circulated in Australian dollar with the platform. I want big up everyone around the world that's making this a reality. Big up the pioneers that came before us. Sister Fanai, big up yourself. Honorable Priest Isak, Honorable Priest Kailesh, Ija Star, so many, Muta Baruka, Denise, Isis Miller, Sister Mix, so many ones who are in the media space, Ibi Lion, Ras Miguel Lon, so many ones who have their platforms that are taking Rastafari media to a next level. I know I'm forgetting some people, iYard Radio,
All
Yard
right.
Feel, you know what I mean? I know I'm forgetting people, but I just want to take time to big up all of the pioneers. Because even if you start tomorrow, you're still a pioneer in this Rastafari independent non-aligned media because we're early, you know what I mean? We're still getting our legs under us and growing. And so I just want to big up everyone who is working toward breaking the mental chain. So my sister, thank you so much for all of your sharing, for giving us the other half of the love story. Now we have the full thing. And as I said, people, and I deliver what I promised. Next time, I'm going to bring the two of them together and we're going to talk. I have a show called Lion Love. And we talk about relationships,
Yeah.
um, because it's so crucial. What I find in Rastafari, we talk about history, we talk about His Majesty, this, that Gideon, Babylon fall, and then we look on the relationship them and them not look too right. You know what I mean? So we have to talk about it, and where I have examples, because we want to talk about things like conflict resolution, real things, for that long-term relationships go through. So we're not also being naive. We're not trying to pretty up the thing and make it look like it's something. People make mistakes. Fight broke out sometime. We go through our ups and downs, but we are committed to stay together. I've been married with my queen. We're getting ready to celebrate 18 years. On May 4th is our anniversary. We've been together, legal marriage. We've been together about 24 years, uninterrupted, you know what I mean? And we're just getting started. I feel like we're just in our honeymoon stage. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I love that.
I want to share that.
Congrats. I love that. It was an example of the post up on, you have to post up.
I mean,
Those things have to show out loud. Like when them show out the breakup loud, show out the togetherness loud.
Remember that His Majesty gave awards, for couples that were together for 25 years and more. His Majesty gave annual awards in Ethiopia.
Next year is my award for 25 years.
You see it, Royal. We'll bring the item for the 25. What day? Come here, mark my calendar. What day?
January 20.
January 20, 2026. All right.
25 years.
And that's good, because that's usually when I call upon the Honorable Kez around Ghana. So I'm gonna make sure I reserve that one day. We want the two of the item. Not on the day. We'll give the item that day together, but we're gonna call the item for reflect for the audience. You know what I mean? But we give thanks. We're gonna seal now, family. Remember, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock p.m., 7 o'clock Jamaica time, the Empress Menen panel, major panel. We have 6 Rastafari women, and we may have a surprise guest. Me nah go talk. No, hey, this is Rastafari media. We are doing something never been done before on this scale, and this is just the beginning, because we're not alone. We are part of a larger community. You hear me call names of other ones, so no say when we rise, and it's not we want to rise, it's a whole immunity rising together to fulfill the divine destiny that we have for ourselves as Rastafari. So make sure you lock in, make sure you support the platform, make sure you support the guests. Why? Because the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion's voice. Rastafari.
Time has come for the lioness to tell her own story.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari live it. Hey, hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Keteis Oyunde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
This is Mama Thea of Asli Pure, and when I want to hear the story from the lion and the lioness, I listen to Lion Voice with Kwasi Bonsu.
Greetings. I'm Sister Aisha Diana Conwood, currently the Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Time for the lioness to roar. You know, this is the lion's voice. Lioness, let's roar, lion pour.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up lamb's voice. Now put it. I Jollifer said that.
I'm Nana Farika. The time has come for the lioness to tell her story from her viewpoint and tell the world who Queen Omega is. This is the lion's voice.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
Jano, I'm so hungry, bro. I haven't eaten all day. Like, my head started to hurt me too. Like, what more could I eat right now?
What about a city samosa? Get your samosa, a fusion of Indian, Jamaican, and African culture. City samosas, the best samosas in the city.